state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Hello, welcome here, everyone. We are excited to get underway with what is truly week one. Last week doesn't matter. We don't care about that one. Nothing happened that week. Absolutely nothing. And you know what? We are here to see what the teams are willing to sacrifice in order to get that trophy. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Orbital. With me is Jay Beto. We are your casters for the ADL series coming up very shortly here between Final Boss Cheese Pizza and Mint Gaming. Jay Beto, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a nice, lovely morning for me, upside down here. But yeah, obviously last week, some unfortunates. I mean, I was talking to you before the stream started. You were over doing something with Valorant. Same thing happened, obviously, right? It happens. There's not a whole lot we can do. But talking about the game, I do have the draft here from last week, which we'll talk about a bit later. But note that the draft will not be the exact same. Obviously, if it does pan out the same, then that's just teams wanting to go towards the same prios. They were happy with what they both got. I ended up speaking to some of the members from MYNT, asking them if they wanted to go towards a redraft or how they were going to do it. They said, no, we're fully happy to remake the draft. We like what we got anyway, so good to see that from hopefully both these teams. I didn't get a chance to touch it with Cheese Pizza. But yes, both teams showing priors. I understand that it can be a little bit frustrating, but we can't chrono break, so the best we can do is exactly what we are doing.
Yeah, you can only do so much, and obviously there are things outside of our own control, so you got to make the best of it. And again, when it comes to a BO3, it's the start of the season. It's not the end of the world. Things will change across the next couple months. We also might see some challenges moving into the Worlds patch. Obviously, Worlds, I believe, starts tonight. We get a little bit of silliness. We get some fun, and we get to see the action occurring across every single platform. But if you're here tuning in, we want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of you making sure to make the Aegis leagues all possible throughout the week. Keep in mind that there are leagues running almost every single day. Make sure to tune in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all that fun stuff. And you get to see all the craziness. Now, let's dive into the series. As you mentioned before, we do have the draft from before, and it led to a very interesting moment for reference when we take a look at this. I do believe we had a very... it wasn't like super aggressive in terms of what was picked. It was more like it's going to be a long-range battle. It's going to take a while. It wasn't anything out of this world, I should say.
Yeah, it was. I should say that Final Boss Cheese Pizza did have the game lead in that particular game. That we weren't that far into the game. It was nothing over. It was nothing too big to come back from. But Jarvan off to a great start in the jungle for Cheese Pizza. There was a Sivir down the bot lane. That was mostly where the game was getting played. There was a really nice flash ult from Janna to kind of like insec. Remember from Mint in. Really nice mechanical play there. But yes, it was very dragon-centric. I think we were only on the second dragon by the time the game had crashed. Or not the game, but the players had crashed, sorry. So, again, nothing too crazy. But yeah, it was very quick and fast from the Jarvan specifically. But pretty much everywhere else, it was a slow-paced gameplay, letting the Orianna scale. And Zach was having a bit of a hard time into Janna. So I am really interested to see, does Mint want to go back to the Zach? Do they want to go back to this kind of, Zach Nah with the Orianna frontline into this Janna pick? As, that's going to do quite a lot of work into what Mint wanted to do. Do they want to continue? Like, both teams kind of hand-shook the Jarvan Orianna trade. I'm really interested to see if they continue to want to do that, because I think as both teams, you can be happy with that. With the team going Jarvan, you're still getting Jarvan in a good matchup, right? It's against an Orianna, but you're losing one of the best synergies with Jarvan. And on the other side, you're taking away, in my opinion, the best mid on the patch. You're taking away the combo with Jarvan, but you're picking in a mobile mid laner into Jarvan. So it's pros and cons for both of these picks. I think that they will both be happy with these top 2 for each draft.
I think that's fair. And we are set to go for game number 1's draft, at least as we take a look. Final Boss, Cheese Pizza, running Clue, Carbill, as well as Error, Big Wheel, and Silver Smurfer. And on the flip side, we got the ever so lovely MYNT Gaming. MYNT Gaming, I believe, running Inigo Montoya, as well as Luckified, Olvark, as well as Myers, Bots, a Maven, and a couple of roster subs in case they need them. Hello Bear and Donut Cake in there.
I love MYNT Gaming's top laner. Absolute banger movie, good reference. Cultured for sure. But yeah, we're jumping into draft for game number 1. My eyes are on that first trade that I was talking about, the Jarvan, the Orianna. What are we going to go towards? I think it's very likely that they do go towards the same, but I'm not at all surprised to see one of them banned or not. Obviously, teams have had a whole nother week to draft prep specifically against this team. And against these teams, against each other. That does feel a bit awkward for the teams as well because, okay, we've given over our priors, we've shown what we want to play, what our game plan is for game 1. Okay, maybe you can get the same drafts. Back before Fearless was... Sorry. Pardon me. Bit too much water there. Back before Fearless was being used, teams would oftentimes, you would get the coin phrase or salty run back draft where you would play a game, lose, and then both teams would pick the exact same draft again because they're happy with the draft. It's just about execution of the gameplay, maybe some mistakes in the early game. So yeah, have to see if these teams go towards that. But while we're waiting for the first draft, speaking of tonight, one of the teams will have to be sacrificed. Oh, sorry, tomorrow for you, tonight for me. One of the teams will have to be sacrificed, IG or T1. I'm super pumped for that match.
Oh, that one's its own world and a half right there. I don't even want to think about it because if we do, then my brain's gonna like pop out of its skull at that point. Like I just, it's its own world, and I'll be honest, the music video didn't exactly do me much justice as much as I love anthems overall, but it was good. It was good, I think.
The video or the song?
Oh, okay. If we're gonna get into this, I have to be really careful.
About the video being like amazing. Like I loved a lot of the really cool moments. It was a lot of like flashbacks from worlds, from past worlds. The Shushe shout out, and then the final. I was talking to a friend of mine. The final background could be like a wallpaper with all of the League moments throughout time. I think the video was really good.
Yeah, so it's someone's gonna hate me for this, but the music video is very reminiscent of the Zed music video from I think like 2016 or 2017. If you go back and watch it, back then it was a tribute. At that point, it was a very heavy tribute to a lot of the amazing plays and a lot of the amazing moments that happened throughout the year. So it's kind of that same value at that point. I love. I will say this: I loved every single part of it. Just as together, it didn't have an anthem scaling. It was a tribute. I would call it a tribute, which I'm more than okay with. But we're here in game number 1, and as you can see, FBCP already rolling out with that Smolder and the Ivern taking away a lot of those high priorities. So it does seem like they might be running it back a little bit in the drafting phase. As we see the Viego and the Gragas, man, my brain doesn't want to work, and the Way finally banned out with the Poppy on the side of FBCP. A lot of these disengagers and engagers both taken away.
Yep, some target bans here for sure, as the jungler Final Boss Cheese Pizza has the most mastery on the Viego. This is a change up here. So we've got the Jarvan, but instead we're giving Wukong and Seraphine top 2. This gives Orianna to Final Boss Cheese Pizza if they want to go towards that. That's a really strong combo. It's hard to get away from that. Before, you could argue, okay, maybe we don't necessarily need a way to get out of Jarvan Cage if we have enough peel, if can get out of Jarvan Cage, but it feels a bit awkward at some points, and Orianna is such a great mid laner. So instead, now you can go Orianna here if you want to. The Sivite takeaway as well. This is what Final Boss Cheese Pizza played in the last game, so they are pretty comfortable with their draft right now, obviously in a different order, and there's the Orianna. So taking it away this time. MYNT have had a full week to prep. I'm confident they have something into this.
I would agree with that. They changed up a little bit, obviously, the Zac not going in there, but they knew this was coming out as well. This was expected out of FBCP, and there's an option where you're saying, okay, even if they jump on in, if we have that Seraphine, it's a great disengage tool, so now we can open up that mid lane to have a little bit more oomph behind it if the Seraphine does decide to go into that support role. And it is lining up to be so. The Seraphine Jinx bot lane can punish that Sivir extremely hard. The range advantage, you can play relatively okay. Now it is a great lane to gank. If you are the J4, you look down there, you see the Seraphine Jinx, you're like, I want to gank that all day long. But in a specifically 2v2 matchup, I could see the Jinx and Seraphine taking it in a very decent fashion as we look to the second ban phase.
I was really hoping for a Zeri there. I thought you're going a Seraphine, you really want that Enchanter. You're going so far as to sack the Orianna pick to get the Seraphine on the board early. Okay, fine. I was expecting something a little safer because Jinx needs a lot of protection. She is always the target in a game. And as a Seraphine, I feel like you can't afford that much peel unless you're picture perfect with all of your mechanics so no one cleanses anything or no one, like, you know, no Sivir spell shield. There's no Mikhails, no one flashes over any abilities. It kind of relies on a little bit the enemy team making some mistakes, but like case in point, Jinx cannot get out of Jarvan Cage. So even if they play it really poorly, you just press R on Jarvan, Cataclysm on top of Jinx's head, and now you're stuck in there. Jinx has a lot of damage for sure, but look behind the Jarvan. There's an Orianna there, and now you're getting shockwaved.
Yeah, it's a dangerous route to go for. So FBCP saying we are not going to get that engage tool that we want in the previous. So the Malphite started targeting that top side of the map, which I do appreciate. MYNT now protecting that bottom lane. After taking out the Gwen, they ban out the Blitzcrank. Another one of those we will catch you out champions. Now the Nautilus is still up on the table. A lot of these other great, I want to say, variety engage tools are also available to be utilized here. But the Gnar and the heavy focus on FBCP shows that they're not worried about that support role. They are more focused on getting a comfortable top side match, which I will actually like quite a bit. It'll be an interesting fight between Dontad and Inigo Montoya. We need to see that R4 position pick though, and it is going to be a Cho'Gath. Okay, so building up that front line once again. Of course, it is no Gnar, which was banned out as you see, but it is close enough to that tankiness that you really need to watch that Sivir scale up, or else the Orion and the J4 ain't cutting through that.
Yeah, I think that the Cho'Gath is a really nice blind pick here, as, you know, Final Boss Cheese Pizza went Scion last game, Nars banned away. This is like a happy handshake trade, I would assume, for these teams. We're just going to take the Cho'Gath blind. Instead, it's going to be the pivot away Aatrox, which is more of a counter pick into the Scion, into the Cho'Gath and the Scion, to be fair, if it was either one. Pretty decent into melee tanks, however, does struggle a bit into things like Jinx, into Seraphine. Called it perfectly before. There's the Nautilus. Something that I want to mention quickly that does honestly bother me a little bit is Sivir getting through with no Alistar ban at all. So the matchup with Alistar is if you WQ a Sivir, she has to get hit by it or has to flash because she can't spell shield it. She spell shields the W, she gets knocked up. She doesn't spell shield the W. Ooh, this is a nice bait actually. Big from MYNT. So so last game they went the Seraphine in support. They picked the Seraphine early, and I'm not thinking it's a flex at all. I'm sure that Final Boss Cheese Pizza aren't as well. They saved their counter pick. I don't like mid lane counter pick. I love support counter pick. Now, you've got Braum with Jinx. I was complaining before about Jinx not having a lot of protection. She has a ton of protection now. Because Seraphine still kind of functions like a support in this game, but with more gold. So a little bit more damage. Braum is amazing into Nautilus. Braum is so good into hook champions. Pretty decent into Jarvan because, yes, Jinx is going to get stuck in the cage, but the shield comes up. You can use Glacial Fissure to disrupt the engage and block Shockwave from Jinx and really interrupt a lot of the damage that's going on. It's going to break the Sivir auto so that there's no bounce. You've got a nice front line with the Cho'Gath as well. This could go badly if the synergy for MYNT isn't there, however. So Braum really needs to be playing with the backline. Seraphine and Jinx positioning needs to be on point. And I think that you can't oversend a dive as Wukong. Wukong's job is to disrupt, to play front to back if possible. You know, percent health and prot shred is still really strong from Wukong. Hard execution of a team fight compared to the Nautilus ult, Cataclysm, Shockwave, Sivir just right clicks people. but I think that MYNT can get an advantage if they play well.
I would agree with that. I think both comps also function fairly similarly. We know they both want a team fight, they both want to get into the mix, and they both want to get their kills.
like we did before. Then I felt you on my shoulder, and you weren't suffering anymore. You said, I'm sorry that you worried, but don't apologize. I told you to forget me, but you stayed by my side when I said, don't try to make yourself remember.
Game is on the horizon as we are set to go for game number 1 here between FBCP and MYNT. Two compositions that kind of want to do the same thing. However, how they are going to get to that point in the mid to late game and taking over the game will be a little bit different pathing on either end. And I'm excited to see what they can do.
We are here again and praying, I am at least, that we do not have another situation like last week, but I assume we'll be all good. Bit of checking each other here in the river, but nothing crazy right now.
Yeah, no big deal. It's just the slow setup moments, making sure that everyone is set in the right lanes. But of course, we get to see the early invade, which I do appreciate. Carbill and Luckified making sure that they are keeping track of everyone and hoping that they are good to go on that one. It's just, you know, keeping track of the opponent, making sure to get those jungle timings down, and understanding that, hey, things can go a little bit awry here. So we need to make sure to keep track of that Wukong, really keep track of where they're going to be roaming out, and maybe looking towards that mid bottom lane and all that fun stuff.
As the summon spells, runes, nothing too crazy to mention. Both barrier, both heal in the bot lane. Spellbook, so no crazy shenanigans happening down in the bot lane. TPs for everyone. Grass Conqueror, Phase Rush Comet, and Conqueror in the jungle. Ended from everybody as lane start. Oriana's going to have a really easy time in this lane. You're picking Seraphine mostly for the team fight and obviously the bait to get out this Braum, which will have to, like, when I say scale, I mean just like go throughout the game a bit later. The level 1s are going to be pretty difficult, so taking a bit of a trade here, as you can see, Bo3 fighting it out a little bit on the tough end here.
Yeah, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I think it's very important to double check these lines as we do get to see that level 2 action. Well, Improvise was hoping for it. Actually lands a hook after hitting level 2 very quickly. So it is going to be level 1 versus level 2, putting Myers in a difficult position. Well played by Improvise and Big Wheel. And I was going to ask, where do we see that first level of aggression? And it seems that FBCP are already on their way forward. As soon as that level 2 hit, Improvise was willing to levy that HP value.
I'd say that lane got played a little bit too aggressively from MYNT there, as later on it feels really great with all the matchup related things that I was mentioning before in draft, but Silver level 1 is really strong with W, and while Braum does feel pretty good into the Nautilus, that's like level 3 onwards, and then you feel great into the Nautilus because you've got all your abilities. Nautilus level 1 is way stronger than level 2, level 3, because obviously those abilities aren't that strong, right? At level 1, you've got half your kit already. It's just Alt and R. Sorry. It's Q and R, not Alt and R. Q and R are really the only abilities you need on Nautilus. But for Braum, getting the Q first, you can levy it a little bit. But if you walk up to hit Q, you're going to get hooked like he did. Take a big chunk. Obviously, pots being used on both sides. Heal expended from both supports. So it'll even out the lane just a little bit. But should be able to get a push out and take a nice base. Darwin is here, though.
It might be that treat at the end of the day, because take a look at that rotation. Carbill trying to get into the mix, but Luckified was in the area, so you couldn't force it. And this is kind of that cat and mouse game that both junglers played. This is why they were looking to try and get at that level of control. Improvise, though, willing to try and force their way forward, but Big Wheel stepping onto a trap means Bots, Maven, and Myers are going to be more than okay. The routing up into that top side and mid means that Carbo was also able to track Luckified, keeping Mirai in a comfortable position and allowing them to farm up. Hook coming out, though. Bots, not good catch. Maven forced to be in an awkward position.
Really nice recall cancel there, but as you can see with that level 3 hit, like I was saying before, now you can't really do a whole lot. Really nice trade in the top lane, but good thing for MYNT is due to the Jarvan gank, Luckified was able to sneak in, get the bot scuttle, and not get double crabbed on, as that early matchup is pretty rough for Wukong. Really needs that level 6 to get impactful. So does Jarvan, to be fair, but Javan with the early CC can swing the 1v1, or obviously Oriana, oh, nearly cancelled the base there, but if Oriana was able to roam down, definitely has the easier team fight as of right now, up against the Seraphine, who really needs level 6 to impact the team fights. We'll be able to clear pretty easily though, but yep, bot lane has stabilized quite a lot as they've taken bases, bought some pots, some early stuff, the boots, the dagger, cull for Big Wheel. Improvise finding a nice time for a roam.
And that roam is going to find so much extra value there. Zolvarik says, I don't want to be here, but a quick jump in forces a flash out of flash of the mid laners, but puts Luckified in a good spot to try and get Mirai. If you're able to get first blood, it's worth it. There's the final bop. Luckified, happy about that one, but of course now you will sacrifice your life in return. Carbill picks up on the back end, so it's a trade of 1-for-1 overall. Jungle advantage though to Carbill and Improvise.
Ooh, on that level 6 timer, it could have been an all-in angle, but Q3 was just used and cooldown pretty long in the early stages of this game. Really nice roam from Improvise, but unfortunately the damage just wasn't quite there yet onto Ulvarik, and Luckified was able to get the first blood. Did use flash, unfortunately, and mids both used their flashes as well. Siva was able to catch the wave pretty much for free under the tower, so didn't really lose anything for that roam from the support. Carbill looking to invade, looking to execute. Okay, fair enough. Caught out, doesn't want to get caught. But that will be an easy Drake take, unfortunately. So quite a big misstep. It looked a bit goofy, but looking for a flank, teams couldn't follow and has to execute, so that doesn't give the gold over to the Jinx, as any gold on Jinx feels pretty rough to give over. First Drake pretty handedly over to MYNT. Bot lane from FECP has moved up to check it, but outing is all they'll do.
Yeah, I think it's an okay passage. Again, both the teams aren't in dire need of getting early game pressure. And they would like it, don't get me wrong. The Dragon Second is obviously very scary, but Big Wheel and Improvise, they already have good control over the spot side, which is why they're willing to play a little bit higher up. The problem is they have it in the 2v2, maybe not so much in the 2v3, and I'm really not sure why you're stepping up when you knew Dragon was being taken on the other side. Luckify just walking their way in, and Improvise flashes into the zap, and you are gone. MYNT have already overcome that barrier of that gold lead and is saying thank you very much.
Now, that's the Braum value coming in spades there. As long as this Seraphine pick pays off in the lane and doesn't get too far behind, as obviously he assist onto Oriana earlier. And obviously, you know, the match into Jarvan, the Braum is already in value. There's the ult. Well, the shockwave.
Nice little coverage. Oh, and it's a huge hit as well. Great pickup into Nile as Ulvarik watches the dance from Improvise, even Red the Rocket, saying Mirai is more than safe right here. Really, really well played.
Indeed. Really nice shockwave there from Mirai to catch out Luckified on that dash. Feels like a really good engage, but also a perfectly timed roam from Improvise to be there at the right time. That's FBCP, another kill, and although this hasn't been directly impacted by pathing of Carbill necessarily, but due to the time that Luckified has spent dead, the CS gap in jungle has grown quite a bit as Grob's getting started up here. Roam down from Aatrox should be taken pretty much for free.
More than happy about that one for FBCP. A lot of their fights and a lot of their wins, same with MYNT though, have been off the back end of other people kind of messing up, kind of having those mixed moments of, oh, we overextended. So to actually get all of those grubs and to comfortably get it as well, I think feels really, really good for them. Just saying, okay, we get something in our own hands. That also helped with the push power if Carbill decides to join on in for those battles, if they win a lane extensively. Because right now, MYNT is doing a lot of work down on the bot side, getting a lot of extra gold for themselves. Now, granted, it's not enough to keep up, but really, we're just watching Myers tick on up in the gold spree and how much they're going to have moving towards that mid game.
And it's two of the weaker souls off of the board early. We've got, obviously, that Chemtech Drake was used before. Now it's the Ocean Drake up next. So we've got only bangers on the table here. All of them getting a ton of value. Cloud Soul really incredible with Aatrox, right? Really good with Wukong, with Seraphine. And then obviously all the others just incredible stat bonuses, whether it's the AoE slow from Hextech Soul, the burst of damage from Infernal Soul, or the innate protections and shield from Cloud Soul on something like a Shogath, or even making Seraphine and Jinx a little bit more tanky in that Cataclysm. This is a bush bait getting set up here from MYNT, waiting for Big Will and Improvise to walk up, and it's not in the first brush, so if that gets checked, they might think that they're safe and get engaged on here. Cyclone is available for Luckify, but it'll ward there. Still going forwards.
Nice one. Oh, but the Glacial Fish actually lands on Big Wheel. Thankfully, though, the flash was available, but they turn it right back around. Flash in, but you got baited by the barrier. Welcome to Death Incarnate. And it is Carbill to swing hard and home. Well played on the counter gank as FBCP rule the bottom lane.
That is heartbreak for MYNT. Unfortunately, it does get warded, and oh, hold on. Charm out here.
Oh, good flash from that shockwave. Well done on the last little Q coming out of Ulvarek.
Really nice mechanics there from Ulvarek to even up the mid lane just a bit. Was feeling a bit rough in this lane due to the CS gap, the kill. It was gotten a bit earlier from Mirai. But Myers in that bot lane skirmish, I feel it's such a great position. You force a lot, you get the barrier out, you make FBCP sweat, I guess, is really the biggest win there. You make an active play. It doesn't go that bad, but then Myers flashes forward under tower and then gets cataclysmed. Instantly dies to tower, and then Luckify jumps in as well to sacrifice himself. Yeah, we're sacrificing everything recently, but unfortunately, both kills go over to Carbill. Now in such a great position with that Sundered Sky up. Dragon will be in 10 seconds, and I think as MYNT, you really have to give this. It's not the worst because you've already taken one, but really have to lock in some of these skirmishes. I was talking a bit earlier on the draft about how MYNT's team comp needs to be really connected and synergistic, and as of right now, it hasn't been.
I mean, they have been proactive, but I gotta agree, they haven't been in sync with as much of what's going on. They have a really nice window, though. Maven has the opportunity to use that Braum Shield to step in front and step in to protect in the allies. Of course, it is FBCP who have been more than willing to actually chase into enemy territory. Take a look at their control over this bot side of the map right now. Yes, Luckified is there and understanding, but you kind of got warded out, and it's such a quick bounce house. Bye-bye goes Luckified, and FBCP say thank you very much for the second Drake.
I just would have loved a kind of counter jungling angle there from Luckified. You know that they're going to be on Drake for free. You know that there's not a whole lot you can do because remember, you know, no flash mid, no flash ADC against the Jarvan. That's really not a fight you necessarily want to take regardless of the game state of gold or anything like that, which is slowly seesawing in favor of Cheese Pizza. Not a whole lot, but enough right now. The Sundered Sky as well. First item completion is a really, really strong one. Much stronger than the Trinity Force early buy. Look at that CS diff in jungle right now. That's nearly 40, which is so much gold. Combined with the 3 kills that Carbill was able to get earlier, this is very similar to what happened in the first game last week, where it's all on Carbill just running the map, running at the bot lane and shutting out Luckified. Red buff is going to be invaded here too.
And if it works right now. You can see that constant level of aggression. 13 and a half minutes, not changing a single dang thing. The Encore only heralds their death. FBCP are not done, though, as they are forcing Luckified completely out, as the jackpot is nowhere near their sights. A jungle camp being taken here as well. It is control from the squad as they continue to run MYNT Gaming out of resources.
Braum is still such an important part of this draft for MYNT Gaming, and synergy is something that I want to continue on in this series, in this game, and in this series as well. Braum not being there means Jarvan gets infinite space. There is no one on MYNT Gaming that can stop him, that can get away from him effectively. Obviously, Luckified can, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot when he's down this much CS and this much gold. You know, Jarvan's going to nearly be finishing this second item soon. will probably be finished by the time the next Drake spawns, which will be Mountain Soul this game. So on the side of MYNT Gaming, it's I would argue better. Braum getting more protections is amazing. The squishy backline of MYNT getting 3 Drakes, because that's what they have to do, plus the Mountain Soul would be amazing. But Bo3 Maven caught.
And caught in more ways than one, but this time the rest of the team is there. Improvise was actually looking for the Jinx, but you went a little bit too far for comfort. Well done by MYNT to go ahead and answer back. And this is kind of the name of the game. Who gets caught and how hard do you punish that opponent for getting caught?
There's got to be a dive angle here. Mirai not spotted on the tower, so MYNT Gaming know that there's a roam, so maybe opting to not go for the full dive, but actually will. Perfect play here from MYNT. Get the kill, overload the lane, take the first tower, help your team secure that part of the feats. As first tower, obviously, one of them. The objectives haven't been taken by either team, but Final Boss Cheese Pizza were able to get the feat of warfare, so first 3 kills went their way.
Oh no. Oh no, Inigo Montoya saying, I want a little piece of this action, but starts to recognize that maybe they aren't the big dinosaur that they thought they were. Devouring gonna do much as Carbil is alive. First chance for Inigo Montoya to jump out, and all of a sudden you're almost putting your team in peril. Well done by FBCP, chunking out the top laner.
Got to make sure you don't walk in too aggressively here. Baiting and playing a little bit of a slow fight, fake contesting almost, is a good idea for MYNT Gaming, but can't be walking into this Jarvan at all. You've got no ult on Lockified, no ult on Myers, and Lockified had to base as well due to the low health bar. This is a nice fake contest. I think just get some vision, make it a little bit slower and harder, force the Jarvan, force Carbil to play it slowly. I think that ult missed, but it was very close. Mountain Drake in 1 minute. You can see the pings coming out from Seraphine. Olvarik wants to fight for that, so MYNT Gaming feel like they're in a strong enough position. No flash top, no flash jungle, but the carries have flash. That's the most important part. As long as Bo3 Maven can play well around his backline, I think MYNT Gaming have a pretty decent chance at this fight. The gold hasn't ballooned just enough so that Cheese Pizza will win every fight. It still needs to be played well.
I would agree with that one, but they are putting a pretty nice precedent to start here in game 1 of the freaking season, right? Saying, look, listen, we might have only played about 15 minutes of the last series or the original series, but we still got that fire underneath us, and we are going to continue to kind of push this aggression. With Dragon up in about 30 seconds, I wouldn't be too upset if we did see that full weight bearing down. You mentioned some of the dragons that they could get. They could get a Cloud, they could get a Hextech. It's a Mountain Soul, and quite honestly, if you're dealing with a Jinx, if you're dealing with a Wukong and a Seraphine, you need a bit more on that defensive end just to sustain through and then bring the damage forward. Big ult on the top side, though, as we're seeing Chunga say, I really don't want to deal with that Seraphine.
Kind of a big cooldown there. Aatrox in teamfights is so reliant on that ult, and Olvarik has TP available, so I really don't like that base. I think that now you have to either TP to the tower or lose a tier 2 or TP to the Drake. And you really want Olvarik around this team fight with Encore. He's TP'd down.
I mean, it is timing. And they are kind of shifting a bit on the momentum scale, but because Clue is actually sticking on the top side, I don't know if they actually want to take a chance. Instead, they're looking to increase their gold lead. They're saying the Mountain Drake is not really worth more than the waves, and I love this call. Hey, overload even more. Quick tower take number 1, and normally it's just 1 dragon and a support, but it could be a little bit more. Great rebuttal, though, as MYNT say, okay, you take a tower, you might take 2 on the top side, but we still got the global objective. Thank you very much. Both teams saying we got something out of that engagement.
Yeah, I really like that macro play there from Cheese Pizza. Almost could have been more, but Improvise caught by the Encore, and Nautilus is going to have quite a high death count this game. It's just the nature of the champion up against the comp that MYNT has. Gets caught by Encore. Unless you're like really picture perfect with buffering it, you're just going to get hit by it. And obviously against the Braum, it can be really, really difficult. Carbil invades the red buff and is able to smite it away. So CS lead in jungle will continue to grow. But 2 Drakes over to MYNT, nothing to scoff at. Feels really good. With the Jinx comp, you have a lot of time to scale. Both ADCs have their Yuntal now, so getting close to starting to do quite a lot of damage. Both of them still have flash as well, so they lose the towers, they lose quite a lot of gold, but make up for it in time. They're able to scale now with the towers they still have, but Kluge taking another one. You don't want to lose any more towers. Any more gold onto this Aatrox would be quite an issue.
It really would. It would allow the threat of that split push to be a much more realized gain here. And remember, Chungus, for their own, has only really been involved in one situation. And that's been that assist in that kind of teamfight era. But you look at the itemization of the Spear Sojourn, as you mentioned before, plus the boots, plus the feats as well. You can get really, really tanky with almost nothing, and that's why Luckified here is in a very dangerous spot. Good prediction out of Carbill, but the Encore back slows down the battle instead. They're going to roll the Cyclone into the rock from downtown as MYNT swing the sword white around.
TP behind.
That is a beautiful job overall as they are looking to clothesline the rest of FBCP, and it's a nasty wallop to the backside. Myers comes in with the cleanup, and it's 3 dead and 1 swift blow. MYNT Gaming look at Otacon.
Otacon is a huge, huge objective as well. One of the highest win rates after you're able to get the objective. We'll have to check in with some of the flowers if possible, but a really nice team fight from MYNT. There was an over-engage onto Luckified with the depth charge. He's able to get far enough away so that Cheese Pizza can't immediately take him down. Then does get the Cyclone off onto multiple members on top of the Encore with the CC. Super Mega Death Rocket slams into all the members of Cheese Pizza 2. Doesn't get any kills, but does so much damage due to the now lower health bars of Cheese Pizza. Bots Maven, unfortunately, the one who picks up the shutdown onto Carbill, but you'll take the kill nonetheless, even if it's onto the support, and a beautiful, beautiful TP behind from Inigo Montoya. Feasts on one, helps get the rest, and 3 kills out of Khan. You are feeling in a great position right now for MYNT Gaming.
I mean, that singular moment, yes, it didn't really get them further ahead in terms of the gold, but it closed the gap that was starting to balloon up even further. And it was such a necessary moment as well. I feel like that felt like the entire pendulum swung more into MYNT's side, because remember, as you said, maybe not all the kills went into Myers' pocket, but enough of it. You're looking at a 10 CS lead, or not a 10 CS lead, but a little bit over in terms of about 5 or 6. You got about a wave. You need more items to play for the upcoming global objectives, and the best way to do that is to allow your front line to build up a little bit further. So for MYNT Gaming, it might not be all the gold and it might not be on exactly who you wanted, but it's a great momentum builder for what we could see in about a minute's time, which is the upcoming Dragon, the 4th of the game.
Well, you just talked about it, and both ADCs hear you and base for IE on both of them. So very strong for this upcoming Dragon. You're not going to get anything else. You're not going to have enough time to base, as face checking from Bots Maven, but he's so tanky. Forcing at the world ender. Whoa.
Yeah, that's a... Chungus has been using that on pretty much off cooldown, I feel, a lot of the time, because you have the ability haste already. I think it's an okay factor, but dang, you are using that at crazy moments with almost no abandon in there. It does get a little bit overbearing.
Now, the gold was taken before in the towers, and we can see Mirai split pushing here. This tower is not worth it, so you can see him TPing away now. I was going to say, oh, hold on, this is a bait, because Olvarik is now basing. If he cancels it, not seen on the wave, so he will cancel the base. 5v5 in the river right now.
Last time we did see FBCP, not really angle for it, but this time they are going to bring out the fight. Inigo Montoya, though, eats up a lot of that challenging. In goes a little bit of a root. Encore misses everyone, though, as the On the Hunt prepares for the battle back. This is going to be Carbill given an opportunity, but it's still chunked out. However, the Oriana is able to sling rocks and stones and is able to bring a little bit of damage, but guess who is unlocked? Myers steps up. I will fear you to doom, but they fall to the weight of Chungus and squad. I was watching this game go in 15 different directions, and it's MYNT that are eaten up, albeit taking a lot of death as well. A 4v3 at the end of the day leaves everyone hurting, but FBCP come out narrowly on top.
I believe it was Mirai finding Myers over the wall It might have been the shockwave. I was watching the front side of the fight. Pardon me. So I wasn't able to see exactly what clipped it, but the cooldown looks like it might have been that the shockwave cooldown might have been what clipped Myers. But before that, you can really see the Braum value in this team comp, where it looks bad for a split second when the team fight starts happening, and then you realize Bots Maven is charging forward in the front line, shield up, Glacial Fissure down, prot for everyone, the Locket shield, and no one can get through Bots Maven until much later in the fight. As long as Shockwave doesn't hit Myers in the back, Cataclysm onto Myers, there's a Shockwave!
Oh, and it happens again. Carbil, though. How much more damage can they get? There's so much safety in the back line, and it's MYNT to chew on through. Good slam, though, as Chungus says, is not safe enough, and this is where the big wheel turns into a little crash. Big wheel just being chased away right now, and is just trying to clear the wave. It ain't really gonna happen, but overall, we are seeing a dance between everyone right now, as Bots Maven says, I'm not done yet, but really, where's that damage? Olvaric keeping that support alive for the moment, but that moment is more than enough. FBCP in fight number 1 was doing okay. Now in fight number 2, though, is not able to secure more kills. This battle, this bloody freaking battle, swings in MYNT's favor this time around.
Well, they're going to keep up this chase here. Olvaric can't find the route just yet. It will be a slow chase. Eventually, they'll be able to kill him. As really nice flash away there. That's a good summoner spell burnt, but the shutdown, nearly 1,000 gold, was a 950, 930, I think it was. Goes to Olvaric. This is a risk. Wait, all chat, what do I do? You stand behind your Braum shield, my man. But this is a bit of a risk. Olvaric, with 10 stacks of Dark Seal, does take a base there. Lockified on this. This would be soul point if MYNT were able to get it, but we're back to another scrap. Carbil over the wall does have Smite available, and Cataclysm back up, but it's been eaten away by the feast from Inigo Montoya. Talking about that fight, Carbil finds a really quick Cataclysm Shockwave combo onto Myers in the backline, who isn't able to react. Bots Maven is not there, but you send it too far forward. Now you're stuck in the mix with the rest of the team of MYNT that you couldn't kill. Olvaric was full health at the end of that fight, and this Braum, who is still doing so much for the team fights. You see the entire time Bots Maven is providing so much space, providing so much CC with the passive, with the concussive blows. Protections, obviously, with the stand behind me and the unbreakable. And eventually, the Shogath has gotten to a point now where it does enough damage. Bots Maven is caught.
I'm going to try it one more time. It's been utilized in a few different areas, and this time it yields a better result. Bots Maven goes down, and FPCP lose no one.
That's what happens when you find a Braum by himself. Now, it could have been a bit of a risk. You know, the team could have been behind him waiting, and that fight would have gone very far south for Cheese Pizza, because you saw how long it took to take down that Braum. But now, Klugi Chungus, World Ender in the backline.
They're going to look to angle a bit more, but the Encore slows them down, gives Myers free time to fire, and gets one. Now they get excited about how much further do they want to extend. Not by much. You lost out on a bit of that engagement, and because Inigo Montoya is on the bot side, there's no reason to force. There's no Baron. Plenty of time. MYNT Gaming deny yet another battle.
Yeah, that's a desperation play from Cheese Pizza there, in a position where I personally don't feel you have to. You should just start Baron there as 5 and try to force a TP from Inigo Montoya. Instead, walking forward and trying to look for a team fight a little bit too aggressively from Klugi Chungus. The zone was great, but the team fight, it was just too far. Instead, I think that you needed to just sweep vision, start up the Baron, force the TP out from Inigo Montoya, and then either peel away, don't take the Baron, or take the fight at a 4v5 advantage for yourselves. Now, tier 2 tower for Inigo Montoya. Maya's got a tier 1 in the top lane, now has finished the Runan's Hurricane, which is a massive, massive buy in terms of AoE damage, and obviously more crit as well. Ton of attack speed with the hook, just misses. Boots, Yuntao, Runan's, as Big Wheel has to go towards Pen, right? It's Braum, it's Shogath, so a little bit less in terms of full AoE damage. And due to that time spent as well, MYNT was able to sweep out all of the vision around Baron, so they're in a great spot now. Hook comes out.
But I mean, that's going to happen almost every single time. You mentioned the raw damage out of Myers, and it's showing here. They're trying their hardest. It is going to be a very nice depth charge, but the encore yet again. Oh, Varric denies, and guess what? They got all the damage in the world. Shockwave ain't going to do a dang thing. Mirai running for safety. Big Wheel's going to try and turn it around, though, and this time the tower helps out. FBCP, though, they needed the help of the tower, or else MYNT was gonna run them right over.
Well, they'll get this tower at least, but that's a nice shutdown over onto Big Wheel. That's what I'm talking about there, where you can really plainly see synergy versus anti-synergy. In the beginning of the fight, you can really see the synergy of MYNT Gaming when they're playing together, how strong their team comp looks. Even if Shockwave hits 3, it doesn't matter. The team fight is already completely over. You can tank tower, it doesn't matter. Brahma's in the front line, tanks the hook, Encore comes through, hits the members in the front line who are going for the dive. And then on the other side, Myers walks in forward to try to find a 1v2 against Big Wheel and Mirai when Brahm isn't there, and just gets instantly killed. Bit of, I should say, as an ADC player, Jinx getting excited ADC ego moment there, where it's like, guys, I killed them all, I've got passive, we reset here. Instead, the rest of the team just wants to take the tower. A little bit of a misstep there on the end, giving over gold to Big Wheel, who now has completed that LDR and has Zeal in pocket, so might even be ahead in gold, but we're back round 2.
They're chasing. Oh, I love this call again. Really keep eyes. Shockwave is going to land, but it's going to be in and out because it still allows range. Encore onto 2, pretty much off a cooldown. And this is the battle that MYNT tried earlier. No tower to save him. 3 fall on the side of FBCP.
Again, the exact same thing. Walking forwards, the synergy is there. And when I mean synergy, I don't necessarily mean perfect synergy. You just have to be playing together. Cataclysm onto Inigo Montoya, but he's really tanky. No Black Cleaver for Carville. That is built by Klugi Chungus. I don't love the No Sundered Sky Aatrox. I feel like that's a really strong item. Really nice flash away from Ulvarek to predict that flash. Super nice play from Ulvarek. Mountain Soul being taken. Baron will be up next. Maybe you'll wait for Feast on Inigo Montoya before that comes up, before you want to go and take the Baron, because there's no way you can steal it. But with the dead members of Cheese Pizza, maybe the play from it is just to take it right now. Guys, it's free.
I mean, at this point, MYNT Gaming are online in more ways than one. Earlier game status leaned into Cheese Pizza's way. Late game, though, you got the Jinx, you got the tank. This is the most cut and dry composition that you would want for the late game, right? Like, this is everything that you can want. Not only that, you got Soul on Mountain. I was talking about the shielding that could come out that could allow the likes of Carville, the likes of Mirai to be able to step into the battles a lot more. MYNT have it on their side. They're the team that didn't need an extra shielding. It's so BM to have that for them. They have everything and the kitchen sink that they could want. That gold lead is so deceptive. They are so much further in the lead. As long as they play the team fights right, it feels like they could take everything.
And on top of all that, it's a 25 stack upgraded Magi's for Ulvarek, who nearly fell down before to give over some of those stacks, but now Baron on 5, Mountain Soul, all the buffs you could ever want, Atacon before, just missing those 3 grubs that were taken earlier, but you want the rest of it.
Let's see if you can actually find it. Carville, the only one to get charmed up, and you are obliterated where you stand. Bye-bye to your HP bar. Chungus about to have the exact same. This is just clean up duty. It is all done and gone. A clean and well-played ace from MYNT Gaming as they weathered the early game, and they will take game number 1. The rematch on high brings us to the true week 1 glory, and they're going to be looking at game number 2 to do the exact same.
What a beautiful bait and switch from MYNT in draft. The Seraphine, and I was really upset with the Seraphine. I'm thinking there's just no way we're giving Orianna for Seraphine. I really didn't like it. I didn't like giving over that combo, but it was completely a bait. We were prepared with the Seraphine mid, and it looked really comfortable, honestly. In that last fight there, you can really plainly see, if anyone wants to go back and look at exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the team fight from MYNT, you've got Jinx and Seraphine holding hands at the back, and the front line is here with a big gap in between. So that the range from Seraphine, the range from Jinx, because obviously Jinx, the range scaling with the rockets. What's it called actually? Switcheroo. There we go. With the rockets, hits the front line, which there isn't a whole lot, right? It's Aatrox, it's Jarvan, and Nautilus. The Braum completely shuts them out with the passive. And obviously, Glacial Fissure with the Unbreakable, there's nothing that you can do to get through that front line. Shockwave even hits onto 3 people and the damage goes through. It still doesn't do anything because they're so tanky. It's a Shogath, it's a Wukong who can dash away and play very safely, and the Braum who really doesn't care as well. That shutdown earlier did come in value, I guess. Got that, what is it, 700 gold or so. But really well played in the early game stages from Cheese Pizza. Again, the Jarvan looked really strong. The early pathing from the jungle is still something to be worried about if you're on the side of MYNT. Cheese Pizza played that really well, but the team comp and the game plan execution
Game number 2 here and ready to go, and I'm curious what the drafts are going to be like. Beto, you had a very good read. Obviously, we saw that game number 1. The Sivir was handed over, the J4, the Orianna. It came together early mid, didn't really work for the Cheese Pizza squad, and this time around for MYNT Gaming as well, they played a very good late game composition. The question is, are they going to go that style of late game once again to try and take the second game?
Well, the most interesting part about this draft upcoming is that for the last week, these two teams have been talking about, well, I assume, what are we going to do by draft 1? Taking the Jarvan, taking the Orianna, planning different things. And now, after all that time spent, the game's done. Those champions cannot be played anymore. So, very different look to the next game. There is still a ton of scaling available, as that was what both teams opted to go towards this game in terms of the bot lane. There's still things like Zeri available, still things like Kai'Sa, Aphelios. If you want to go towards that, I assume we will see mostly the same bans. It'll be the Smolder, obviously banning away one of those scalers. Banning away also the Viego, which does scale really, really well, as that's a one trick for Cheese Pizza. I'm interested to see if Cheese Pizza take red side as well, if they value that counter pick more so than the first pick. MYNT Gaming took a lot of value from the fact that they had that counter pick that they were really able to drive the draft, because the benefit of red side is obviously you get first pick after second phase of ban, so they took away a really solid option in the Shogath, and it is going to be Cheese Pizza on the red side, so they want to flip the script a little bit and take that counter pick for themselves.
It will be a little bit of change up, and we'll see if it works out in their favor. Now, the big question is, how well is it going to work? This blue side has had its ups and downs, and the red side same as well. But for FPCP, I almost don't know if it's counter pick specific that's going to give you that edge. What we are taking a look at, though, is a double ban to come out here. It is going to be the Viego and such, as it does populate in. These are the almost exact same bans from game number 1. No changes, no buts about it, which makes sense. When it comes to Fearless Draft, the bans generally don't change. It's just the picks overall that do. And there's a Mel immediately for MYNT. Wow, really playing into that utility mid laner here on the day.
This is going to be quite valuable due to Jarvan being Fearless banned away now, so it can go towards the Mel with a lot of comfort and a lot of safety. The Orianna that gets quite a lot of value as well against the Mel due to the rebuttal being quite a long cooldown. So, and Orianna having quite a low cooldown. Senna. Haven't seen a whole lot of Senna recently in any region, any pro play, but we're talking about range in the game before. You were talking about scaling just before we got into this draft, and Senna will provide both Volibear with a bit of early game and CC. Could be top, could be jungle. The Senna should go into the ADC position, though. We won't see any more fasting Senna, I think.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel as good now, obviously, and you'd almost look at that and say, is it actually going to be a support Senna overall? Is it going to be in that safety setting? But as you said, if it's any sort of Senna, it must be in that carry position, so we'll see if it's played out as such. Right now, the Volibear picked up a blind pick, by the way, which to me is a little bit surprising, but they are going to run it. MYNT, though, are leaning into a mid to late game centric composition once again. Hail Mary with the Mel, but then the bandage touches from the Amumu signal a hyper carry of sorts for the bot lane once again.
Could opt to go towards your top laner here if you wanted to save that pick to see what the support is going to be from Cheese Pizza, or see more so what the threats are going to be. Whoa, that's an Akshan. I'm really confused here. So it could be Akshan top, it could be Akshan mid, it could be Mel support early. I think MYNT Gaming are just really happy with their flexes. I'm not the biggest fan of Akshan. I don't think that, I think that in lane it can be really oppressive, but I think that in competitive, organized play, team fighting, and especially in the meta right now, you can see it in pro play, what teams are playing. Team fight skirmishing is what is trumping most of the time. Giving you Rise from Cheese Pizza. I'm a lot bigger of a fan of the side of Cheese Pizza. You've got a ton of scaling now, which we were talking about being quite impactful when the Senna and the Rise is so good. You've got an early game in the Volibear, whether that's a jungler or a top laner. I imagine it's going to be jungler because these teams don't tend to want to go towards their top laners in the first 3. And with the Gnar banned away, I assume they're banning for a pick here. And I guess MYNT agree. They think it's Jungle Volibear 2 with the Scion ban.
Yeah, I always like to give options into the top side. I mean, I used to see Volibear up there all the time, but granted, it is more of a jungle, a straight line pick. But and this also happened back in game number 2 as well. Both teams did highly prioritize that top side of the battlefield, said, okay, let's drop it down to pick 4 or 5 in there. It might also signal that for FPCP, they're hoping to get a little bit more aggressive. One of the big things is the Aatrox was okay, but again, you didn't really have a choice, right? You got counterpicked into that Cho'Gath, so the Cho'Gath got out of this world. Now we get to see what they can bring out on their side and see if this counterpick R5 will yield the best results. We are going to see the Rel ban out, which I do appreciate. MYNT still giving a lot of credit towards that bot lane.
Alice is still available with the Rel ban away, so that's typically a counter into... So Alistair is typically a counter into Rel, so I guess MYNT not really comfortable on the Alistair, not really something that they can go towards, so they want to ban away the Rel. It's going to be the Garen, so even more scaling in terms of Cheese Pizza here, and a bit of it, like, quite beefy, right? Because Ryze is going to build Roa, Seraph's going to be pretty tanky, and Garen with the, innate protections from his kit, going to be pretty difficult to chew through. What does MYNT Gaming go here? They need some form of, outside of the Amumu, in my opinion. I think that the Mel is most likely going into support. There it is. There's the Poppy. So that'll be most likely a Poppy top. Unless we're getting some real spiciness here. But what's the ADC? A CC from MYNT to set up that passive Tristana. So instead, it is still going to be answering a little bit of the scaling, not as much as the Kai'Sa would have. Not as much scaling against a Ryze and a Senna, wanting to bully out that bot lane quite significantly. And instead, so now this could be Akshan top. Now that I'm thinking about it, looking at it, could be Akshan top, Poppy Tristana bot would make more sense than a Mel support here, I think, to try to push forward some of this aggression that the Tristana really thrives on.
Let's see if they can pull it off. Last pick to come in here is going to be an R5 Milio. How I like this, I have no idea. I'll be quite honest. I am a little bit surprised at that, but at the same time, it will be picked up either way. So for MYNT Gaming, it's a lot different than what they saw before. This is a much more aggro composition that has that kind of linchpin Amumu in there, but it's hyper aggressive. A lot of damage to come out from this squad. And for FPCP, I'm actually a little bit worried with that factor. I mean, when there are so many damage threats, you look down that line, they have CC, but it's not great, but they do have a tank factor. A little bit later, Ryze, Volley, as well as Garen all get fairly tanky. I just don't see the major connections of how they want to play in terms of where they want to focus, because you might want to focus on the Mel, you might want to focus on the Akshan, you might want to focus on the Tristana. Where do FBCP decide to pull their resources for this early game, in your opinion?
I think it's based off of how Volibear wants to play this game. I think that if you're sending it hard into some of these members, the thing with like range and also the Tristana Poppy, or whether it's Mel or not, is that it's really difficult to actually land onto these targets. Mel is really safe, right? Can immune the root from Senna. Obviously can't necessarily immune the root from Ryze, but has a ton of range to play at a distance. Akshan, pretty much the same, obviously invisibility. But with the Tristana, you can jump away really easily. It's really hard to catch Tristana out. So for Cheese Pizza, I think it's lane prior, because you should have clear in mid, pretty decent clear in top, mostly in mid. Like the mid prior should be pretty strong, and then try to stack these Drakes, force MYNT to come to you, and in that way you are much stronger. If you try to engage in small parts of the map, you're going to get kited back. There's a lot of CC to deal with from Mel, from Amumu, from Poppy. I think that when champions like Akshan, like Mel specifically, are walking towards you, and towards you is into, a realm warp behind you, say, from the Ryze, or a Senna root, or Volibear ulting on top of you, or flash stunning, and Garen hitting a TikTok insta-kill combo, very hard to execute mechanically, obviously. That's when Cheese Pizza are going to benefit a whole lot more, and with the scaling too. If MYNT can play their range really well, if Cheese Pizza can run at them and MYNT can consistently kite back, if they're there around objectives first, Keeper's Verdict is going to be a really important tool this game to separate the fight, to knock away some of that engage or maybe the Milio, but knocking away the Volibear and the Garen leaves the center and the rights really vulnerable. We'll have to see what these teams will have to do in these. So we get the lanes here. So it's Poppy top and the Mel goes support. That does make sense. Like, I think it probably was Poppy support until the Milio got picked. The Poppy doesn't get a whole lot of value here, but what it really does is it denies things like Rakan and Alistar. Mostly Rakan, who can't really get in anymore. You can't pick Rakan on there. I think Rakan just slam dunks this comp into infinity, but the Poppy, really nice preemptive pick there, denies that.
We'll see if they can pull it off right now. I'm very excited to see exactly what they do. I'm wondering if we actually have the game ready to go, or we might still be waiting. And if that is a factor, we are going to go to a very, very short break to make sure they are good to go. MYNT Gaming and Final Boss Cheese Pizza. These two teams are opening up the ADL. Hopefully it's a treat to watch for. If you like cheese, go ahead and get hype. If you only like mint, go ahead and get hype as well. We'll see you in just a few.
日本にはまだある？
急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そうそのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。
お前は
close my eyes, a little less of you remains.
And here we go. Time to hit it up live as MYNT Gaming 1-0 here in the opening of the ADL FBCP, trying to sacrifice a bit more to get to that game 3 and give themselves a series win to start off this season.
I haven't seen a whole lot of action recently, but obviously a comfort pick for Ulvarik. Some flexes around Poppy top, like I spoke about before. Bit of a difficult matchup. There's not anything to interrupt for Poppy with this steadfast presence. Inigo Montoya going to take a trade up here in the top lane. Back and forth here. Ignite on Klugi Chungus, so got to watch out. You won't be winning that all in. I like if I'd push out of his jungle as the early pressure from the volley bear, like I mentioned, coming into vision. Improvise, taking some damage.
Oh no. Oh dear. Yep, hard flash and follow. Improvise losing just about everything feels rough for this bottom lane, quite honestly. I saw the auction coming around. I was wondering if Ulvarik was going to be able to pick up the kill, but I think was just a slight damage short. Either way, MYNT Gaming getting a little bit of a opportunity here in the bottom lane now that Improvise won't be able to step up and harass as easily.
The thing is, though, is that both flashes of the carries of MYNT were also used to Akshan and Tristana. I mean, no flash for the following minutes could be very impactful up against the volley bear in the early game that that champion provides. But yes, you're absolutely right. Heal and flash been used by Milio, who is quite immobile anyway. So going to have to be careful of the poke of Bots Maven. The all-in from Myers as the lanes will start. Myers, obviously on Tristana, will be getting the lane push due to passive. But that should even up a little bit when Senna starts getting some range combo with that Milio.
Give it just a moment. Give it just a moment and we'll see them fly. For the current pace of play, I'm actually a little bit surprised. Clue as well, Inigo Montoya. Both these two didn't recall. And I feel like that favors Clue a little bit. But of course, at the current moment, they are pushing their way out. Because of that door and shield, you're going to have a little bit more healing. You can afford to take some of these more awkward trades that looks like you're losing HP. Either way, it's just a piece of that puzzle as Clue is actually diving on in to the enemy side jungle. That means you didn't get blue buff. Luckified is out of luck here. And it's disaster for the side of MYNT Gaming. FBCP getting a huge win in the buff camp and in the kill camp.
Yeah, that's the early game from the volley bear coming through. Invaded on a ward, unfortunately, but really nice start from Cheese Pizza. The jungle early game maintains the same dominance on the side of Cheese Pizza, and shut out as of right now. You're absolutely right. Out of luck is luckified. We'll be able to pick up the bottom camps. They won't be too far behind on CS, but due to the side that both the junglers are on, you're going to run into each other again on the Scuttle Crab. That's going to go pretty handily in favor of Cheese Pizza. And if Luckified decides to run all the way to the top lane, it's going to take a long time to get there, maybe even spotted and denied.
If they are spotted, that's going to be a whole different story. Luckified just saying, all right, I pretty much lost everything on that side, so we go back to safety. And this is a much different variable than what we saw from game number 1. FBCP got an early lead in game 1 as well, but it wasn't to this extent, right? This is a massive win for Carbill, who we mentioned before was very aggressive in terms of laning and in terms of getting in the opponent's faces. Summer Round has a much larger chance to do even more so as you get to see that invade towards that mid lane action. As they go ahead and take a little bit of that scuttle flash in as Carbill jumps for the body, and Ulvarik doesn't have flash either because of the earlier downside fight against Improvise, and it is going to be a kill back as Carbill and Mirai pick it up. Bot side, we're seeing a fight back, but Improvise has all the mana in the world, so Big Will might be able to stay alive for just a little bit longer. Barely wise though, as Maven almost looked for that auto attack in. No challenge though. Overall, FBCP taking some leads.
Exactly, that flash used early up costs Ulvarik his life. Really nice matchup for the Rise, where I wasn't even thinking about this. I haven't really seen a whole lot of Aksham lanes, but makes a whole lot of sense. You know, you got a guaranteed route on the Rise. Pretty decent matchup into the Akshan. However, Lane Prior is going over to Ulvarek, so playing it pretty decently still. That tier has been taken by Mirai. Remember, this Rise will scale really, really well into the late game. Level 6, level 11, level 16 are the really big spikes for Rise as the, passive damage gets upgraded. Be able to swing out of danger there. We've got two swingers in this game, a little bit. The Carvel up to the top lane.
I mean, it is going to be a flash out to a safety here, so Inigo Montoya will be okay. Carvel is getting all the value in the world right now. It feels like he has been on almost every single lane except for the spot lane. And has yielded results, either getting a flash, getting a kill, or getting pressure down somewhere. It feels good for Carvel, who on this Volibear is once again on a high aptitude jungling champion where you want to get aggressive and get into that mix. We are seeing a bounce back of that soccer ball. Nice one by Maven, but of course Luckified is only level 4. You're not really going to get much more than that. Instead, it's allowing Myers and Maven to get that plate and walk away unscathed.
Could have been a dive angle there, but not a whole lot of wave, plus the heal provides the barrier for Big Will and both of respective flashes, so could have played that if they wanted to. Bit risky, right? If you fail that dive, you're giving a whole lot of gold and over to either of the members. Milio, one of those supports that doesn't dislike gold. I think enchanters do pretty well with gold in the early game. And due to the support meta and the way that it is right now, we didn't see a redemption rush from Bo3 even last game. It was a redemption after, but getting that first support item on, because that could be the last item you get the entire game. Getting that item first could be the difference between a really solid mid game and a really weak mid game, but ends up fizzling out. No dive, pretty decent CS advantage for the bot side of MYNT, as that is building up. Corki can CS pretty quickly and well due to the passive, but nice kickback again. Feels pretty bad to play. Oh, jump in from Myers.
Oh, I have no idea why this was being done, as that's going to be a flash for flash to come out here. Myers went way too far aggressive, and now you got a chance here on the bot side. Carbil coming around the side, said hello, surprise party, and it's FBCP to find the angle yet again. Beta Warfare is theirs.
That's very similar to the play last game, Orbital, that we saw when Myers on Jinx flashes into Cataclysm range under tower and dies. Myers seems to really want to play aggressive, but not always at the best times. And I feel if you're going to play a lane like that, playing a slow poking support like Mel first pick isn't necessarily the best thing to pair with it. You're going to go a Nautilus on your own, or obviously, Botsmaven's Brom was amazing last game. So I'm not hating on the player, but more or less the kind of the lack of synergy, dis-synergy is not a word, the lack of synergy between the bot lane and maybe some ideals as to how Myers wants to play. But Carbil, really excellent on the jungle, gives over both the kills to Senna, leaves the last hits, but 2 grubs already secured by MYNT as they're working on the third. Mirai and Carbil realm warping in.
Do you actually take a chance? I like
nice.
that setup though. Carbil and Mirai forced to watch as they're punted out of that battle.
Maybe a bit of overcommit in the ults. They used both Curse of the Sad Mummy and Keeper's Verdict. I feel like when I saw Curse of the Sad Mummy come out, maybe they were going to look... Could have done with the roam from Ulvarek, but low mana, so Keeper's Verdict was also channeled, knocked away. Can't hate it, but maybe an over-investing in ults there. 3 grubs. The first dragon was taken earlier by Cheese Drake, and Mountain Drake is up next. So no Mountain Soul, bots Maven. Roams down to mid.
Oh, and I love this catch. Really, really nice pickup. Being gifted to Myers as well. Big carry for the team. Make sure you get them up and loaded. And keep them on that fast track forward. Remember, Senna will become a pain in the backside. But I love the gift over that Myers was given. And maybe you get that Tristana at a much more fed pace.
Really nice roam from Botsmaven. Again, it seems to be Botsmaven versus Carbil in this series. Now, this time on the Mel, have to see how the team fights play out. As Carbil's got a lot of an easier way of impacting the team fights. Mel, bit of a difficult one. That Shiv already being finished by Big Will. will mean that that is most likely the end of most of the scuffles, as the wave will be killed pretty quickly. Klugi Chungus proxying at inhibitor just before that, or just outside of the inhibitor turret, I should say, taking a base and maybe looking for a roam with the time of the wave, but instead just wants to proxy and walk back with the wave. Inigo Montoya will take a base, and Wave Prior will go back over to Klugi Chungus due to the proxy timer. But pretty slow game overall. I know that there has been 5 kills, feats of warfare going over to Cheese Pizza, but overall, still playing it slow. Keep an eye out for those important level up timers for Mirai 11 and 16 for when the overload damage goes higher from the spell flux. But roll up, getting built, tier stacking up as well. Klugi Chungus finds an ignite.
A nice little dive, and that's going to be the pinch and a half. Inigo Montoya, though, is able to stay alive thanks to the tower plus pin against the wall. And again, when it comes to Poppy, having that extra, defensive stats in there is good. However, the setup is much larger as well, as that's a flash forward, and Chungus bites away. Really clean take. Chungus is on the board with one.
I mean, it looked a bit goofy from Inigo Montoya there. Hold on.
Another fight on the bot side, though, as that debuff, that cleansing gonna come through fast enough. It's gonna be that finish at the end of the day, as it's a 2-piece in the bot side. You can see where MYNT's focus is right now. Top side, though, Olvark recognizing that maybe I don't want to be here, as now you are caught no way safe. No idea why you went there, considering you know Chungus and Carbil are fed to heck. It will be the play and a half, as Myers is able to pick up an extra plate for themselves as well. Big moves around the entirety of the map, as MYNT was able to get something on the bot side, but FBCP on the top side wreak havoc.
Yeah, that was a very confusing play from MYNT, as mid laner rotates up, tries to 2v1 the 2 strongest members, and one of those is a volley bear with quite a lot of early game damage. Maybe it was your jungler saying, you got to defend my buff here, but instead, it's going to be another kill and the invades coming out from Cheese Pizza on the other side. Like you said, really nice double kill from Myers. Forces the TP out of Mirai. So the tower won't fall, but really nice cash for MYNT. Carbil, smite out, looking for a stun.
I mean, this is just, it's going to happen on repeat. It feels like Carbil doesn't have ult, but may as well be close to it. And that's what Inigo Montoya has to be careful about. The game is going to be a much harder state, I feel, for MYNT Gaming to be able to come back from. It's not impossible, but it's a scary thought overall.
There's 4 down here in the bot side orbital. And if Carbil doesn't open up bot, this could be a dive on this next wave. The wave gets pretty much insta-killed by the Shiv, however. They might still be looking for this dive.
The wave is a little bit large, though, as Olvark is around the way. Easy pickup onto Big Will. It's not even a full dive. It's a really clean grab. Carbil, though, here for the rebuttal. It is going to be some damage back, so no further tower damage. MYNT is starting to overload the spot side of the map, and FBCP are starting to recognize it.
Mirai in the bush there. Trying to maybe find someone roaming back, but it was all 3 members. So instead, we'll just walk back to lane and find out some vision and information on the other end. Dragon is spawned. So this could be the second for Cheese Pizza if they want to go towards it. Carbil, bomb plants over the wall there at the Dragon, pings out, so they are starting it up. Bases are being channeled from MYNT, and there is no TPs on those members who are basing. Might end up just being a Dragon give after some of the gold that was been acquired. This game is basically all on the shoulders of Myers. It is top side of Cheese Pizza with a lead. The mid and bot will scale very well, but Myers has 4 kills and a collector now, building into Yuntal, I believe? Or it's going to be Infinity Edge and the dagger is just for boots. Could also be that. Would make a bit more sense in my opinion. But it's all on the back of Myers to impact this game and swing it in favor of MYNT. No one else on his team really has any gold at the moment right now. All the kills are on Cheese Pizza's side.
I think they're going to be real happy about that one as we slowly make our way into the next. MYNT are for their own. I think. Kind of curious where they decide to go to from here. Remember, they lost out on the earlier feat of Warfare, but now that they have all their ultimates up and available, you can start looking for Tower. You can try and look for some other advantages for your own. Maybe stop the Dragon take pressure as well. You need to start utilizing these damage numbers that you do know that you have. Start trying to apply pressure to FBCP in a much more heavy fashion is the best way I can put it. As right now, Carbill dancing around Luckified on the wrong side of the map, but enemy invade coming in for FBCP. Oh,
yeah, nice counter jungling here. Taking a lot of damage here, Myers is, but he trades it back across onto Big Wheel. Could be spotted out. Luckified could be spotted out, but is able to wrap around and maybe catch on the Mirai here.
That's a good pinch. Mirai has flash available, so maybe you could look a little bit further, but Dawning Shadow is going to keep you alive for a little bit longer. However, you do say it's not worth it. Big plays from MYNT overall. Collect a kill in the mid of bot side tower take. Top side safety from Inigo Montoya, and now you get a fight against Carbill as well. In goes a great grab of the Herald, but you might pay with your life on the other end. Ovar goes way too far in though, ignited out, and you're dead. Chungus able to answer back one, and now there's no damage from the side of MYNT Gaming. They are going to be hunted down in more ways than one. Chungus is still alive, flashes away to safety, and FBCP make it a painful one to boot.
Bit of an early engage from Inigo Montoya. Uses the heroic charge, but it doesn't land into the wall. So Carbill gets the Herald, isn't stunned, and marches forward at MYNT Gaming. Absolutely right. Olvarik sends it again. Too early. Goes way too far. Silenced out by Klugi Chungus. Inigo Montoya might be following this pattern.
Good flash out.
I didn't know if
you are safe. Oh boy, I like this call. Big Will, you're gonna try and go for the tower, but you got nothing. You were empty on the tank and mana. Olvarik picks up a free kill. It's a match from a match pace. MYNT Gaming starting to have that fancy footwork, starting to claw back in this game, which is why we are seeing only a 1k lead out of FBCP.
Yeah, but it is 2 dragons, so Chemtech Soul this game, not the strongest by any means, but some good shielding and healing from Milio, Senna, Rise, Volibear, all going to be happy about those individual Chemtech Drakes, and Soul still will find a lot of value in this game. 3 grubs, like I said before, over to MYNT. Herald now in the back pocket, of Carbill. Atakan, 2.5 minutes away. We'll be spawning in the bot lane again this time, as MYNT Gaming last game was the ones who took a miraculous fight in the bot side where Luckified nearly got caught and died over the wall. Back away.
I love that bait play, by the way. That was very, very rude, but Luckified was holding on that position and forced a flash out of improvise. It was a very nice one. Top side, though. Once again, Inigo Montoya getting chunked out here a little bit. Tries to use the Keeper's Verdict, but it's not going to work. So Chungus has a chance to battle out. No one's going to come save you, so it's all about baiting for that cooldown he had. The chance, though, as we're seeing another fight come through. Good smite out by Luckified, who is keeping themselves safe. This is a major dance as FBCP are trying to clear a path over towards that dragon. Maybe trying to find Luckified as well. However, with 35 seconds left, MYNT Gaming in good position to still fight it out.
Bit of poke out from Bots Maven as the wave will crash, and with the Volibear ult, you will probably need to give this. Luckified flash. And he hits a minion there. Unfortunate from Luckified. Hopefully, was hoping that the minion had maybe died or wasn't there. But Carbill's in it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to try and chase in for that tower. It does take it away, so Carbill is able to get that gold for the team. Not a bad play overall. You are looking a little bit better with the boots upgrade as well. But it is going to be that treat at the end of the day, because the main goal is this dragon. And for MYNT Gaming specifically, a big part about this entire thing, you haven't really used your ultimates. Of course, for Luckified, you might need to here as you're getting chewed through right now. You can only ult 1. And it doesn't have enough damage. In goes the Realm Warp, though, as this is going to be a challenge. Olvarik not giving the time of day as FBCP pull a MYNT Gaming TP gank and flatlines the majority share of MYNT Gaming. That's an ace at 19.5 minutes.
6-0 on this Garen for Kluge Chungus. No TP, has the Ignite, no issue. Walks in, gets a triple kill. Really nice Realm Warp from Mirai to chase and get behind. Sometimes Riot can fall out of value if if their macro isn't really solid, because he doesn't have a really strong bursting ultimate. It's not an Orianna like last game, but this time the Rise isn't set down behind. There's no Braum on the front line, and Cheese Pizza seem to be the better team when they are just given these 1v1, 2v2 small skirmishes in the early game. MYNT Gaming, with a week of preparation, looked really, really solid, but in game 2 now, their game plan isn't nearly as strong and has really fallen short of what Cheese Pizza have brought on the other side.
It did feel extremely disjointed in the draft as well. Granted and fearless, when you see FBC's comp, FBCP, maybe you say, okay, maybe we try something a little bit spicy, which is not the worst thing in the world. You still have a game extra to play with. For FBCP, though, they're going to try and take this one in stride to play it real smoothly as well, because they want this victory. They want it cleanly, and they want to get a good game for game 3. Namely, for me, it's now about closing this game out. You have everything in your pocket. You're about to have Chemtech Dragon, which is going to enable even better chase team fights. We're going to see a lot there as we are watching this play out. Topside, Chungus looking to force the rest of Inigo off the tower. And honestly, you can run them down the entire way of the map, which is why Inigo is just like, I don't want to deal with this right now. Still, though, scattered Scryers showing that a majority share of MYNT are around the way, so they are going to pull back and play safe.
Well, interesting part here is that both the Soul for Cheese Pizza and the Baron spawn like half a second away from each other. Actually, no, it looks like the timers are exactly synced up, which is a crazy stroke of luck for Cheese Pizza. You can basically fight around the Soul and then take the team fight and get Baron afterwards, or maybe MYNT Cheese Pizza. That would be kind of disgusting, actually. MYNT and cheese in one pizza. I don't know about that one. But for MYNT Gaming, could look to take a trade. Now, the worry is, what do you value more? In my opinion, Realm Warping out as Luckified, it's taking a gank and a path around the backside. Montoya will use that Steadfast Presence to buy some time. Tower's been disabled. Nice.
With the TP coming in, I wonder if you actually take that fight and force them to kind of fight on your own terms. But either way, as you said, it is a good, safe play. FBCP not getting any other free kills just yet.
But what I was saying is that MYNT could opt to... Luigi Chungus is still split pushing after that, so that tower will fall down to him pretty easily. Unfortunate after all of that... all of those resources invested to try and keep it up. Big Will take a big chunk here, Fash in. But Maya's taking the worst end of that trade, rooted up. Luigi Chungus is pathing around the back too.
And I mean, honestly, Myers has been so over-aggressive that it's actually put the enemy team, or put your own teammates, into a little bit of a risk position. And I just have to sit there and wonder, what is the call here? We're now seeing FBCP say, well, you lost 2. Now you're going to lose 3 and maybe a few more. And Inigo Montoya has to flash away to safety, but the tower falls so quickly, it might as well be made out of paper mache. Varric can barely get away. And FBCP sling their gold around like they have no abandon and are going to take the mid inhibitor.
Mid inhibitor as well, but Orbital, look at these timers. It might be the game. Looks like Cheese Pizza want to end it here.
They're going to give it their best shot. Tower number 1 falling very, very quickly. Nexus tower number 2 on the horizon. Inigo Montoya and Maven trying their best, but a very good keeper's verdict is able to punt away 2. It is going to be Carbill now running for their lives, getting a lot of extra healing coming out from Improvise. Is doing quite well for themselves, but the Nexus is fully exposed here. So for FBCP, it's just one more good push.
Got to be careful though over a chase here. If Cheese Pizza can turn around and hit you, but they do also really want to get these bases off, as 30 seconds until the dual objectives spawn. Soul and Baron, back to my point before, as it is incredibly relevant right now. Do you give Soul? Do you give Baron? Do you take the team fight on one of them and try that? I think that either option for MYNT is a risk. Giving Soul is very difficult because you have to win on that Baron. That's the only way that you can do that. But give Baron with this open Nexus game, I don't even think they're going to go for the objective. It looks like Kluge is just barreling down the mid lane.
I mean, might as well. It's open, and now you route the rest of MYNT Gaming. MYNT Gaming are forced into a battle that they do not want to be in. They need to get someone back. Olvarik is there, but is it really going to be enough? Inigo Montoya might be around, and it is enough to force the fight, but Carbill says, hey, now you have to burn everything just to keep yourselves alive. Chungus coming in from the flank option. Myers has nowhere to go. Neither does Luckified, and MYNT Gaming are falling like flies. Nobody will stand in their way of a game number 3. Of course, the bodies are now hitting the floor as Big Wheel is taking that dragon just to ensure a soul as the rest of Cheese Pizza roam their way in. Truly the final boss of the Cheese Pizza. This ADL season is off to a hot start here, as they are looking to talk their talk. Wards go down for a little bit of BM as FBCP clear to take us to a game 3.
Big Wheel was able to get the Chemtech Soul right at the end before the Nexus fell. But a really smart end there from Cheese Pizza, not over rushing. I was talking about everything that MYNT Gaming were thinking about on how to come back from that position, what objective to trade, where to fight it, and you can see their game plan. They set up in a brush, try to look for a bait, and land onto all the members of MYNT as they walk in, or just the front line even. But instead, Cheese Pizza say, we're not even going to go. What we're going to do is we're going to send our strongest member, our split pusher, down the mid lane onto the Nexus. And what happens is the Poppy is forced to TP in, and Olvarik on this action. So there's 2 members. Neither of them have TP now because Olvarik used it earlier. And the rest of the members that can't get out, can't TP out,
Yeah, it's a treat and a half, and right now for me, I am excited to see what Game 3 is going to have. Honestly, here with the Aegis Defenders League, I'm excited to see who comes out on top in this thrilling BO3. Beto, though, we are going to take a little bit of a break and see how this pans out for the squads as they go back to the drawing board and see what they come up with. The plan should be set as we'll go to a break and see it all for the conclusion of the series.
日本にはまだある？
急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。
ああ、
そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。
お前はんだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。
ありがとう、全マーケット。
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. eternal power. Lead us to order.
It all comes down to this. It is time to figure out who is going to take this series and start their season off 1-0 in the series record. MYNT Gaming or Final Boss Cheese Pizza. Game number 1, MYNT Gaming really did come back in a coordinated fashion in the mid to late game. Had a very strong cohesive composition. Game 2, Cheese Pizza was very strong in the early to mid game domination, continuing on their prowess thanks to Carbil, who you pointed out back in game number 1 and in the previous week as well, had a high impact on those games.
That's going to be the driving factor in this next game, or is Carbil going to get something that he's comfortable on, that he can really drive the game forward, or are we going to see a very similar look to game 1 where Botsmaven is on a really driving support to deny what Carbil wants to do? If I'm drafting for either of these teams, that's my game plan. It's try to get a really good support matchup for Botsmaven, not just against the opposing support, but against Carbil specifically. And for Carbil, try to get basically free time on the map as we jump into the draft for game 1.
Yep, big part about this one is for MYNT Gaming, we want to see a little bit more cohesion. That last game felt like an overload of pieces of damage with the movement to try and tie it all together. They never really got off the ground. Now, MYNT, though, did have Myers on the bot side start to look a little bit better once they got the kills, so that might be an angle. This time around, though, it is MYNT back on the red side, same bans all the way through, and we'll see what, the first pick comes out to be. FBCP have a lot of options in there, but do they go for that mid side? Do they go for that jungle once again? And it is going to be a jungle Lilia to be locked in versus the Diana from MYNT. Very quick on that uptake.
I'd have to check on if this is correct, if the teams are on the right side, because on this, the Cheese Pizza is banning Viego, but Cheese Pizza is the one with the Viego one trick, and it's been MYNT that's been banning the Viego every time. So I have to check if that is correct. But for the draft, we've got double AP carries here in terms of the jungle matchup. There is the Zeri that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So is in the ADC pool of these of one of these ADC players, but game 3 pulling out the Zeri feels pretty good. That makes a whole lot more sense there. MYNT Gaming opting for the Lilia and the Diego being banned on the blue side. Zeri is a really, really threatening ADC. Now, if this Diana does go into... There is something to be said about the fact that this is not as much a setup jungler as it is a carry jungler. If Yasuo gets picked up by Cheese Pizza, I could see there. But all that, you're really looking to just get a whole lot of gold on Diana and do a ton of damage. MYNT Gaming with the Lilia, more of a team fighter, the Ashe for an amazing vision, setup, and control with the ult. Ashe Karma will win prior at this part of the game against any bot lane that Cheese Pizza go towards. So you're going to have to pick something that will sack lane comfortably and team fight better in the late game.
Well, if you can look for that in that late game status, once again, MYNT Gaming are going to be real happy, but this is FBCP really lining out that early mid game dominance. It seems to be the game plan going into the entire thing, and it makes sense. There's going to be that Malphite ban out once again, saying we really don't want to give that over to Inigo Montoya, who so far has looked okay in some senses. Obviously, the Garen versus Poppy matchup didn't go their way. It can still be redeemed, though. We can still watch this fight work. But the Lulu, heavy focus on the bot side, really targeting Improv, who really showed up on the Milio before.
Could this be a takeaway here from Cheese Pizza? MYNT Gaming, the ones that were playing that in last week, and Cheese Pizza have been banning that every game. But the Nasus and the Malphite bans, maybe you want to go towards an R of your own, save the support counterpick with Lulu off the table. You're looking at something like an Alistar. That's kind of really the only thing left up. No Seraphine or Rel, of course. So now MYNT Gaming could go towards the Alistar, but because they've already picked their support, Rel gets a ton of value. There's a lot of engage, plus more knockups here for the Yasuo to ult off of. MYNT Gaming here with the last two of their side. Top lane will be the Mordekaiser. And looking for the mid lane here could be another massive switch around here would be Karma mid and pick Alistar on 5. But that would be a bit out there. I'm not sure Karma mid, I'm not sure how much value that has. We'll have to see as the timer ticks down here.
Yeah, this is. I mean, if we see the Alistar, though, it feels like it kind of goes against what we want to watch for. And it is that Gnar at the end of the day. So this is a mid Mordekaiser with a Gnar on the top side saying, look, if you're going to play the Yasuo, we are going to take it to you. And I will be honest, I love mid Mordekaiser. I've done this specifically against a lot of melee champions. I've done it against Katarina. I've done it against Yasuo specifically. I've done it against Zeds. If you want to play it right, you can do a solo stomp situation very neatly. The problem is no matter what situation you're in, the Win brothers are going to play. And I like this call from Cheese Pizza. It's an overload of early to mid game. And I'll say that till my dying breath. They are so focused on winning lane, winning in individual combat, that they don't even care at the late game. And this time around, I'm leaning into them. They got a lot of aggression.
This is also an answer to what Mint Gaming's draft philosophy seems to have been in this series. They are really focused on these flex potentials. Mordekaiser and Gnar can obviously swap now, and with the Karma earlier before. But now Cheese Pizza have said, okay, well, why don't we just pick something that can go in both? We will choose the matchup we want. You were just talking about the strength of the Mordekaiser into the Yasuo. Maybe Cheese Pizza prefer a Yone in mid and putting the Yasuo up against the Gnar. It would be a risk because it is still that melee matchup, but Yone does a really great job of chewing through health bars and can play a lot safer once those first few levels have gone in, right? You get Q3 up, you E forwards, unbind the soul, and then clear the wave, do a bit of poke, snap back, and you're a lot safer. The Rel as well, ton of engage. I love this Cheese Pizza draft. I think that it's got strong laning, like you mentioned, pretty good late game with the Zeri as well, but amazing brawl around objectives, scrappy all over the place with the Diana, the Rel. You're winning these small little 1v1s. Ashe is absolutely got not enough damage to chew through the burst the Cheese Pizza have. Mint's got a hard game on in their hands here.
And in your opinion, if we're looking at it from Mint Gaming's perspective, where does their win con come from? Because obviously the Gnar is in their hand. They have a Mordekaiser to take away one of those members, but I do agree Myers is not going to have a good time on this Ashe, or as much as you would really like. Where do you see them being able to win out at the end of the day?
I think that the kind of 2v2 skirmishes are really strong for Mint, also for Cheese Pizza, but Lilia level 6 onwards is a really great kind of small skirmisher as well, and with the vision that Ashe can provide and control, I'd love to see Ashe out mid early, because you probably will be getting, you will be getting wave prior, like I said, with the Karma earlier. So it is going to be, unless they lane top, which they definitely could do, Yone on Klugi Chungus, which is the top laner, Yasuo on Era in the mid. But we'll have to see whether they want to lane swap away from each other, whether there's a predict maybe and Mordekaiser matches top. It could be anything. It's very chaotic for this last game.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they can pull it off. Right now, we are going to go to a very short break, though, as these two teams are loading onto the Rift. We want to make sure that everyone is well connected, well set up, and ready for the game, and hopefully no interrupts on anyone's side. So we will go to a short break. When we come back, the ADL will have our conclusion, as it will be played out on the Rift for us today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
日本にはまだある？
急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。
お前はんだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。
ありがとう、全マーケット。
Time to play, time to go, time to figure out if you got what it takes. Game number 3 between MYNT and FVCP. These two squads have been duking it out across 2 games, and this time around they're laying it all out on the line with conventional and non-conventional picks. The Mordecai's in the mid, obviously, to me is the big one. I'm sitting there going, man, I love it, but I'm not sure. And as soon as we sit down, we got a little bit of a DC. Chungus trying to reconnect.
Oh my god. Don't read the chat. But yeah. Unfortunately, DC, let's hope it's not a DDoS situation. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's just a quick reconnect here. But yep, this is the last game of the night. Both these teams bringing out all sorts of things. The Yone Yasuo Diana trio. MYNT Gaming bringing out the Mordekaiser mid. Strong lanes for MYNT Gaming, some strong skirmishes for Cheese Pizza here, and a really, really solid ult combo with the Diana, with the Yasuo. There's quite a lot of knockups actually across the board, and a strong late game threat on the Zeri. We'll have to see how this game ends up going. Now, we've got a little bit of a time here, so I just wanted to bring up, I was speaking to some of the members of MYNT Gaming over last week, asking them about some of their history. I asked Cheese Pizza too, but couldn't get a response. But really interesting, MYNT Pizza played together. Sorry, MYNT Pizza. Keep saying that. MYNT Gaming played together a couple of seasons ago, ended up winning, promoted up to the the Masters 600, which I think is the AVL, and then couldn't win that. The roster blew up a little bit, went a bit awkward, and then they've come back now together with a couple of role swaps, I believe, and coming back here for hopefully a better season this time. Feeling confident, they know each other, they're comfortable playing together, which is always a good start to a team. And obviously this is week 1. Had a really solid performance in game 1, had a bit of a lackluster performance in game 2. See what they can do in this third game. 5-man invade. We'll find Carbill here in the brush.
It's a nice little tap, but again, this is... I feel nothing too crazy. Of course, for MYNT Gaming, though, it is all about being an annoyance to Carbill as much as possible. I like this call as well, mainly because for MYNT, a big issue for them was that Luckified got kind of neutralized in the early game, got set back further and further. This time around on the Lilias, hoping to have a clean start to this game, as poor Maven is left hanging in the fist bump era.
Klugi Chungus is up next. Let's hope, let's hope this doesn't continue on for this game. But maybe Klugi Chungus was just upset about the fist bump situation and wanted to take a quick DC. Just, rough up his team a little bit. Carbill took a bit of a chunk there on the earlier little kerfuffle there, where Ulvarik found him. But we'll be able to heal pretty quickly off of the jungle camps and is starting red buff, so we'll heal even faster. Jungle pet and red buff. Now you can see that in the bot side of the map as well. This might be really impactful after this pause comes through. The bot lane of Cheese Pizza, Big Will and Improvise are both in the brush here. And the squishy combo of the Ashe and Karma from Myers and Bots Maven are about to walk in and face check this brush to get to lane. There is no other way that they get to this wave. If it gets warded out or predicted, maybe you go around, but they were just spotted on that ward next to Raptor's Pit too. So if they face check, this could be a first blood for Cheese Pizza, or at least flash heal, maybe double flash. This definitely benefits Cheese Pizza. Normally in bot lane, the range support matchup goes in favor of the range support due to the fact that it's range, right? You aren't able to land on top of any of the range supports as a rel. But in melee range, melee supports tend to have better base damage earlier on, so they do more damage in an all-in situation if you're both hitting each other. So Rel Zeri will win this out. Ashe level 1, pretty strong, but most likely has W start, which is better for laning. Q is better for the all-in. So we'll W it, see them, and push them out effectively. But all of that talking about the all-in fizzles away. Really nice predict there from Myers. It was a likely possibility, but nonetheless, good scouting there. Good play.
It's a good reactionary piece of the puzzle because you understand that, hey, they're going to try and aggress on you. They're going to try and get a little bit messy. They want to make this game difficult overall. So it's the appropriate it's the appropriate way to go. So I like it so far. It's a give an answer and get a response each time. So they're playing this at the appropriate pacing. It's all about that mid-game around, though. Once we get to see Carbell start to get aggressive, when we see this Diana actually get to pop off, and if it is going to be that big name stay play at the current moment, though, everyone just trying to farm up as neatly as they can. Hopefully not make any big mistakes or else give over a lead to their opponent.
Due to the starts, Cheese Pizza are able to get prior in the bot lane because of the slow and late pathing from MYNT Gaming, but that will even out. Karma Ash, like I mentioned in draft, is really oppressive in lane due to the poke and just the way that lane that Karma interacts with other supports. The shielding, the root can be really good against Rel. It has a lot of range. But Mirai looking pretty comfortable in this matchup right now. Improviser's roamed up as well.
It's a very quick stab as behind the wall we go. Improvise, making sure to force a flash out of Volvaric. And this is what I was mentioning before. When it comes to the Mordekaiser, you can actually do a lot in a 1v1 scenario if you run the right runes, if you run the right summoning spells, but it does become very 1v1 centric. You are very locked in, meaning if anyone comes into that lane to aggress on you, you're in trouble, which is well done by Improvise, who throughout this entire series has been the much more aggressive support. Even back in game number 1, we saw the rotation. We saw that value of always rotating and roaming.
And due to the wave being shoved in earlier before the roam, there isn't a whole lot of CS that has been missed. Bots Maven warding up there on the top. The cannon has been secured, so this would be a lovely wave to crash right now. Try to get poke out onto Cheese Pizza. This duo, for MYNT, will really fall off later on, like heavily fall off. I'm really not a fan of Karma. So the lane needs to be the thing that is the strongest. Obviously, most of this wave will be picked up by Zeri because there's not a whole lot of poke coming out right now. Luckified finds Carbell.
And that's going to be a little bit of a fight back. Luckified, make sure to get the bop on the top of Carbell. Carbell recognizing you're not going to win this one as Luckified is able to get first one and even draws the flash. You can't flash an auto attack. Luckified finding some luck here in game 3.
Really nice early start from Luckified. That's how you want to start off the game. Compared to last game, it's a script as this time than the Amumu on this Lilia. Heavy AP, however, for the mid and jungle. So you're going to have to watch out for some early MR from Cheese Pizza. You know, we do like a good more early from a Yasuo or a Yone, but that's going to set the pace for this game. And I assume Lucky going to be continuing up this aggression, trying to find these 1v1s as it is being handily won right now by this Lilia.
I think for Luckified, that's a huge change of pace. I'm loving the variety and the diversity of the champ pool. Obviously, it felt like that Amumu, if it was given time to play, it could have had the right impact. It could have had the Curse of the Sad Mummies all over the place. But this Lilia seems to do, I will always say Lilia has always been that better amplified action. I mean, the lulting lullaby is so good, right? When it comes to getting the sleeps, making sure to get everyone, it can output some powers. So I like where they're currently lined up, but at the current moment, you are just making sure that you are set to go in your entire jungle, keep up the pacing, deny Carbell that advancement, and maybe even look to get those scuttles to get that advancement on the opponent and keep them in check across the global objectives.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about in the bot lane where this CS gap isn't really going up. There's into the death realm here from Alvaro, but Mirai's got a wave to play in. Level 6 is hit too, so should be fine. That's pretty big ult cooldown there used, and the health bar isn't really chunked down a whole lot. Carbell spot on the wall. Luckified hiding just around the corner.
Let's see if that can be played here. I like that call out you had. Making sure that Carbell is in the right zone. Of course, is recalling, needs that level 6 before they can really output some damage here. Dragon gonna be coveted by Luckified and making sure that they are in the right zone. Will it be enough, though? It is a single cloud to start. And yes, it's out of the hands of MYNT. That's great. But I do want to see MYNT Gaming get a lot more for their own. I want to see them be able to get even more of those global objectives and maybe get those upgraded boots once again.
Really nice invade here from Carbill. Bit of a scrap in bot, but should be fine. Heal is available for Improvise, so shouldn't result in a kill, but a really nice pressure being exerted. So it's the Dragon for MYNT, and a bit of an invade on the top side for Carbill. Cloud Drake is really good on Lilia. You'd maybe prefer a Soul or multiple Cloud individual Drakes as well, because, you know, movement speed on Lilia is really strong with passive, but one will still feel really nice. Love a dive here from Luckified as they force the bases from Cheese Pizza to be cancelled. You got to play it slow. There's the heal baited out. Barrier still available. Here comes the dive.
It's going to be the full invasion, but of course it took a little bit longer than they would have liked. So the tower dive is going a little bit awry. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Forced TP coming out from Mirai, but setting up for a possible chase. Flash out from Maven. In a nice side angle position. MYNT Gaming looking a little bit worse for wear, as that top side dive gives even more, or bot side dive gives even more time for Carbill to take over the top.
As it's a bit of a disaster here from MYNT. The dive looked really strong at the start. The health bars were so low, but the barrier bait was great. The flashes were perfectly timed, and it is a 1-for-1, but that one kill went over to Zeri. Sure, Lilia was able to trade it back with the burn passive, but unfortunately giving Zeri over kills any point in the game will heavily outscale this Ashe, like I was talking about earlier. Ult out from Nile into the top lane, but should be fine up here.
I think you might be able to get to some safety. Now the problem is, are you going to have a rebuttal? In comes a little bit of fire, though, as the majority share of FPCP. We're starting to recognize that they don't really like it here. Carbill having to flash away, but nice call. Carbill flashed to the other side of the Baron pit, which now puts them way out and away from the battle, but in goes the fate sealed, as now it's a fight back from the Yone. Chungus trying to do some damage, just snaps back into that battle. MYNT are winning this handedly, and I don't know if Big Wheel and Improvise want to stay here. There is no flash, no true grid away for Improvise, which is why we see that jump up, and Improvise is going to look to try and turn it around. In goes the Moonfall, though, as Carbill brings the damage. They do turn it around to make it a 3-for-2, but it's damaging on either end, as both teams are actively hunting for those kills.
Very close game so far, Orbital. 2 grubs to MYNT there. 1 was taken by Cheese Pizza. You called out the really nice flash from Carbill over the wall when he's in the Death Realm. Really smart pathing there. And the fight looks really strong from MYNT Gaming. Catches out Klugi Chungus, who snaps the soul back in a bad time. Ulvarik caught here.
And I don't think you like it. You have no outs. You get the extra shielding, but the knockup is going to be more than enough. Another quick stun as Mirai is now on top. And this Mordekaiser mid is about to spiral into a really rough area.
The thing about the shield as well for Mordekaiser, and from the Karma later on, I guess, about this matchup too, is that, yeah, the Mordekaiser shield is really strong, but Rel Q destroys the whole thing. So immediately comes out with the shield that gets broken, and Mirai gets a nice kill. You're talking about this isolated matchup, and every time we've seen the fight, it's never been isolated. So unfortunately, Ulvarik hasn't been able to play that lane in isolation, which oftentimes is kind of what happens early game in mid lane. Later on in the side lanes, it might be a different story, but for now, Mirai playing a really solid game with some help from his team. Still a very, very even game. 1 Cloud Drake to MYNT, the grubs, and 1 aside for Cheese Pizza. The kills, very even, and a small, tiny 100 gold lead, or even less than that, for Cheese Pizza. Different, very different to our first 2 games, which saw Carbill really dictating how this game, or sorry, how the game would go. MYNT obviously winning out in the first one due to some really nice team fighting. There's a Death Realm forced out again, and Mirai not taking a whole lot of damage on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, Mirai is going to be fine. At this point, you just need to get over that very slight barrier. That Vamp Scepter is going to be more than enough to keep you alive and the extra shielding behind. So really, MYNT are looking at other lanes. The problem is that Inigo Montoya, you're not going to be amazing. The Gnar is strong, don't get me wrong, but it's not a game changer. Until you can leave that lane for right now, you're stuck dealing with Chungus. In that same kind of respect, Ovarik, you're hoping for a chance of their own, but Myers and Maven, as you mentioned, are going to fall a little bit further behind until the Ashes is able to become this sleeper DPS. So MYNT, they're in that position once again that they've been in throughout the entire series of, you're not exactly going to win the early game. You got to figure out what you want to do for the rest. It's meeting of the minds, though, as Mirai looking for a cheat on the other side, and Luckified waiting for a chance to get a sleep down, but is only able to tag one with that seedling, and that it is safe. Dragon started up.
Dragon has been started up, like you said earlier. You can have a look at all the wards for Cheese Pizza. At the back camps, all of Luckified's pathing was known, so Carbill can match it. Dragon now been taken up by Luckified. MYNT Gaming in a position to start this fight. Inigo Montoya has rotated down, and he might have a pinch here. Oh, that's a big ball there. Big swill, see, big bowling ball onto the members. Kuchenikos arrow over the wall, hits Carbill.
And I like that little team lullaby as well. Inigo Montoya is able to pick up that one. And it seems that MYNT Gaming are starting to look for the pick action a little bit more. I like this setup for the bot side as well. Inigo Montoya making sure to build up that Gnar bar. Big Wheel is very much locked underneath the tower. There ain't no safety. It's a slam against the wall, and it's going to be a two-piece combo for the top and jungle plates to MYNT Gaming's bot lane as they rule the bottom side of the map.
Really, really nice dive. Much better executed this time as Rel Improvised tries to go forward with the Magnet Storm, but immediately shoved back by the ult from Inigo Montoya. And there's just too much AoE damage in the early stages of this game for MYNT that Cheese Pizza really need to get through this Ash Karma early game, mid game domination that the lane will bring. Later on, the Zeri with 5 items, with 4 items even, will destroy Ash in a 1v1. But with no cleanse at the moment on this Zeri, she's very, very vulnerable to the CC from MYNT. And you see the dive goes very well executed this time. Klugi Chungus tried to get some gold back on the top side, but wasn't able to secure the full tower into the Death Realm.
Double shield out for either side, but honestly, it's all about who gets that last ability hit, and Ovarik gets it. Remember, in the 1v1, Ovarik gets empowered Q action. And Mirai not happy about that one. I take back what I said. It feels like Ovarik is starting to get a much better handle on this team fight, especially with those extra boots that you have. The steel-plated boot caps are perfect. And MYNT Gaming are really starting to come into their own in a much faster fashion than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's what happens. You were talking about it on the draft. When it's actually a 1v1 and you get an isolated lane, you're thinking surely Improviser's around the corner, ready for this play again. But no, this time Ovarik gets the solo play. Carbill over the wall, chased by Luckified. Must be taken down pretty easily there. Inigo Montoya able to get the kill as a bit of an overstep there from Carbill.
And I think for Carbill, it's, you know, you're trying to make action happen as much as possible. Is it going to be, you know, enough? Who knows? I mean, we have to remember, this Diana was slammed almost ASAP when we saw that B1 Lilia. It was their response so quickly. Right now, it isn't yielding those results that you mentioned. 1, 3, and 1. Still waiting to kind of match up with Mirai and the rest of the squad.
And we're back again, 2v2 in mid.
Oh, and is it going to be enough? Remember, Ovarik is this big damage source, but the Seedling barely does anything on the back end. So far, it's all about saving Ovarik, making sure they, you know, move into the right position, especially with that Leandri's Moonfall, though, coming in here as that blast gun is gonna force Luckified straight into enemy territory, but you're able to stay safe thanks to Maven. Maven is able to help out the rest of the team. Mirai still wants some advantage, but isn't really gonna be enough. Luckified is dancing around them all. What is going on here? FBCP drawn every which way, and they can't chase 2 prey at once, so they lose it all. It's going to be a 3-4-0 for MYNT Gaming as they even take the bottom side tower.
Really, really nice team fight. Hold on. Myers flashing forward. Does he have the damage?
No.
Yes.
Crazy work. Barely dances out of that last tower shot. MYNT Gaming have gotten everything in the kitchen sink that they could want.
And on top of this, is something I was thinking about in the back of my mind. How good value Randuin's will be this game, because you want crit on both Yone and Yasuo. So far, they haven't gone towards it. That's fine. You're missing out on so much damage that this comp provides, as the base unfortunately just doesn't get cancelled. But either you go crit, and 3 champions are going crit, 3 AD with crit, Randuin's get so much value, or you skip crit on Yone and Yasuo, and in the current version of those champions miss out on a ton of damage. You're fully reliant on the Zeri. Nice tower for Klugi in the top lane will be an objective bounty, which have already spawned 17 minutes into the game.
Let's see how this works out here. As we call, this game has gotten mightily out of control. It's going to be a big powering. Improvise is going to hold on in, though, thanks to that blast cone, but is it really enough? No, they're drawn right back in by the claw. Nolvarik is really making sure that they eat it. Oh, what a burn. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is. Luckified from downtown. Bulls a strike and takes a life. Well played overall. And that gives MYNT Gaming control over the third dragon.
There's going to be another Chemtech Drake with these enhanced blast cones doing a whole lot of work. And will really benefit the Karma Shields, as you can see already how big that Karma Shield was with the Moonstone. No redemption so far, just that Enchanter support, that classic Enchanter support item being started by made by Botsmaven. But a really, really solid game from MYNT so far. It's almost completely flipped on its head from what the first 2 games were. Cheese Pizza were always the pace setter, always with Carbill. And MYNT Gaming with a team comp later on, and that didn't happen, so Cheese Pizza took over the game. But in this game, not only is it Luckified really setting the pace, but all the members of MYNT are together. Myers hasn't really been over moments where, or I'm clutching, I'm gnawing my teeth here, or I'm biting my nails. Maybe he's a little bit too far forward, but it's okay. He doesn't have a dash forward on Tristana this time to go under tower. Hasn't flashed forward yet into tower range either, but the rest of his team around him have played really solid, all of them so far.
You really have, and hopefully we get to see it continue onwards, because we know that they can get a lead, but can they maintain that lead? And Maven says maybe not so much. Of course, support is a support at the end of the day, so you are annihilated. Mirai, though, drawn into this realm of death, and unfortunately even a tower won't be able to save you. Flash might, though, as you dodge out on that last Q. The mace slam down ain't going to be doing too much, but Luckified sees some enemies in the horizon. Quick TP coming in from the bot side by Inigo Montoya. No, actually by Olvarik, as it is going to be the safety play. Rest of FBCP, though, chased away. And that means full control over mid for MYNT.
And that will maintain for the entire game. It has started up with bot prior. It will continue into mid prior with the Ashe, the Karma. And Herald using mid, and Inigo Montoya call it on the side.
And that's going to be another stab in the dark. Hey, options are available here. But again, that's a solo death while those towers are falling. You can see where MYNT Gaming are actively applying that pressure as they're going to drift it all the way down to the bottom side. And I like this call. Good push in. But will you lose a few more? Luckified walking their way out to safety. MYNT really focus on the macro game.
We don't have the objective timers on, so we can't see when the next thing Atacon has now just spawned, but that was a mid tier 2, sure. As okay, 2.5 minutes on this next track, 2.5 minutes, but on Inigo Montoya, that's a risk because your top laner was very strong and obviously still is, but giving over a ton of gold now to Klugi Chungus, finishing up that shield boat is a worry. No Randuin's completed just yet. It'll be Wit's End next for Mirai. Atacon being posted around right now. TP's available from Mirai and from Inigo Montoya if they want to play on the bot lane and TP up. There's the first TP out. Mirai will miss, but Atacon being started up.
I love how close that was, by the way. I'm loving the fact that FBCP are not backing down. They say, look, we're behind, but we're not down and out. We are going to cheat trying to go for this fight, but that is a little too low by all three. Is it going to be followed up? Yes, it will. Carbill stolen away, and this is the right call. Take out the enemy jungler, and there's no chance of an objective steal. Well played by MYNT Gaming. That was a well-denied and well-protected objective, and this just solidifies their lead even further. Nico Montoya throwing down the Gnar Slam just for a little bit of craps and giggles.
Really nice Adakan pull as well. And the Lilia, I'm loving it. Oh, hold on. Oh, nice flash away there. I was actually talking with Luckified before this set, and he was asking me what I thought of Lilia. Specifically into Java, and they were talking about it before this series was played, and I said, I'm not a really big fan of Lilia. I know that it can have some really nice isolated matchups, but the game is typically really team fighty, and I recommended something like a Wukong. I was really happy to see that was picked up in game one. It looked really strong, but man, if I had known the Lilia would look this good, so accurate with applying this passive, all the ults have found value so far. Big ult on the Carbill.
This is just repeat, though. This is picking on Carbill for games 1 and 2, by the way. I love that MYNT Gaming are highly focused on this very immobile champion if they're not in the proactive stance. So far, it has been denial after denial. They are 2-6 right now, and now they're looking for even more. Improvise, recognizing that, hey, I can't really be here. Shield is broken. The follow-through can be even more so. A quick dive in, though, as that's Maven being double ulted on. Lilting Lullaby into 3 if you can, allowing Ulvarich to get into the mix. Keep getting hit as the jungle will reap its rewards. MYNT Gaming get revenge for the support in Ace FBCP.
Carbill has just respawned, so it might not be able to end the game here, as there's not a whole lot of towers down. Those inners, are still available in the side lanes, and the base hasn't been broken yet, but a massive gold lead, huge kill advantage for MYNT Gaming, and Chemtech Sol will be taken with no contest from Carbill available. 1.5 minutes on this Baron left as the bottom tier 2 will crack and the base starts to fall. The respawn timers are coming through now, so maybe it'll just be this tower and out. The Chemtech Drake gets secured. Chemtech Sol now for MYNT Gaming. Couple of towers and a humongous 7,000 or nearly 8,000 gold lead.
We'll see if that continues to balloon up here. It feels like MYNT Gaming have really taken advantage of this game state, and with the Chemtech Sol to their own, they will survive just about any battle, as you called. Beto, if we are looking at FBCP, where is their option of victory? We talked about the damage overload the squad can have, but I mean, where can it even get back in this game?
I really would love Big Will to be able to afford an Infinity Edge soon. If that item comes online, you're looking pretty scary. Before that, it's a risk. Oh, Bo3 Maven caught. Hold on, this is a big pick here.
And it's a massive one in more ways than one. Arrow so late, big shutdown available. And it is nice to find for FBCP. Some gold in their pocket, but no other objective to play for feels kind of bad.
Well, there's 20 seconds left. They're resetting here with that big shutdown gold and coming out. Obviously, you would have liked to have given that shutdown gold over to Zeri, but she was in the bot side keeping the wave pushed. Instead, Cheese Pizza are opening out bot lane. I'm really surprised by this. Baron is on. It just spawned. 15 seconds left on the respawn timer. This is a free Baron if you wanted it. Instead, we're going for Ulvarich.
And I don't know if this is the right call, because Ulvarich will for sure get some damage down. Good flash out by Improvise, though. And it really is just the harboring of please get some kills. It will be taken here, though, as Chungus is on the flip side looking to dance. This might be doable here. Remember, we're still waiting for the Lilia, so the damage output from the Baron is huge. Now, TP cross map is going to yield results, and Chungus is the one that has to flash away. FBCP are doing what they can, which is try and draw MYNT into too many directions. I like this play from Cheese Pizza.
It's a bit confusing to me, though. 20 seconds on the respawn from Ulvarich. He has TP, so all that MYNT need to do is play as slow as they can, keep the range with the Ashe and the Karma, contest the vision as slowly as you can, and when Mordekaiser respawns in 10 seconds, he's back. Big ult!
And that's going to be enough to slam it on down. The Wombo needs the combo, though. Or maybe they just need those kills. MYNT Gaming falter at the doorsteps as they stayed around a bit too long. And FPCP say this is what we've been waiting for.
A huge combo there. Finds two. Inigo Montoya and Myers will fall down, but still, Cheese Pizza not feeling comfortable enough to start up this Baron. Ulvarik TP's back around the Baron pit to contest some vision. Luckify at full HP, securing some of these camps. Has that Seeker's arm guard in pocket as well. So when this fight breaks out, watch for that. Make sure that Luckify gets enough time in the fight, is able to go golden. But again, Orbital, this is another situation where Cheese Pizza find a breakout fight around the Baron, and before you know it, MYNT have respawned and Baron hasn't been started. This could be a situation where Big Wheel is screaming at his team, give me IE, I need more time. If we fight and win, don't go Baron, I need Infinity Edge. That is our go time. And I could see that angle for Cheese Pizza. However, MYNT identify the same thing. They're ripping Baron right here, or maybe just a bait, pulling it to see the response here from Cheese Pizza, trying to force a TP out of Klugi Chungus. Inigo Montoya matching in the top lane, stunned out, arrow onto Improvise, buff it away. Very back and forth, very dancey here around the Baron pit as Inigo Montoya looks for an all-in here.
Oh, and this is actually very, very doable. That's a slam into the wall. That's what you're waiting for. Inigo Montoya can possibly do this. I think you recognize maybe you can. Draws out the Fate Sealed. It is a good on hand. And this is now MYNT recognizing this is a full-on 4v4. No ults on the top laners, meaning this Baron is going to be the big call down. I really don't think MYNT are able to divert off of this. They need this objective. Double TP coming in here. So it's going to be damage output. Carbill, though, drawn into the road. That's what a catch by MYNT Gaming. Zanya's will only keep you stasis for a little bit longer as there's no Moonfall to go. MYNT Gaming have found their opportunity and it's cleanup on the backside. FPCP see their dreams shattered as their ankles are broken. It's an ace for MYNT Gaming in game 3.
And it's a mistake, an overstep. One tiny error from Carbill cost them the series. He steps just too far forward into the death's grasp from Ulvarik, pulled into the death realm and taken down before he could do anything that entire time as well. Luckify was on Baron, and Orbital, that's going to be the game.
It really is. GG's all around. MYNT Gaming threw down in game 1, got thrown down in game 2, but opened up in this rematch of the opening week previously, now concluded. Congratulations to the MYNT Gaming squad as they take a hard-earned battle. And honestly, it looked interesting from FPCP. They had some interesting gameplays and the mechanics really shone through, but at the end of the day, it was cohesive teamwork that took the victory.
And that's really the story of this series. I completely agree. The MYNT Gaming roster, like I mentioned earlier, have spent a lot of time playing together previously. They're coming back after winning in the past. Back with this roster, when they play together, when the team comp is synergistic, and when they are all on the same page, when we aren't flashing forwards under tower or jumping in aggressively from the ADC role, they look really strong, really, really solid. And even if they did win that in ways like game 1, and we're still looking at a 2-1 for MYNT, my critique would have been the team play looked immaculate, but the early games are a bit weak. There is a gap in the jungle. This game, not at all. That was not at all the story. Completely reversed it. In fact, it feels like a learned thing during this series. Okay, what is Carbill doing? We need to shut him out. And in the game 1, that came from Bots Maven on the Braum. But in this game, it came from a really solid jungle matchup. And instead of giving Diana these wombo combo ults around like 3v3 skirmishes, it was always 5. It was always targeting Carbill first. Carbill was, every single team fight took Death Realm, and there was just nothing that they could do about the team fight. Super well played. Some really good early game from Cheese Pizza. You saw how dominant that was in game 2, where when they don't make these small mistakes, they just blow the game out from front to back. But bit of work in the late game and maybe some team fights that needs to be reviewed there.
Yeah, it's a good way to open up the season, though. I will say both the teams played exceptionally well. We saw the foundations for what could be one hell of a rematch in the future, which would be a lot of fun if that does come about. But at the current moment, that is going to be it. It was a treat to be here on the ADL with you, Jay Beto, and hopefully everyone at home enjoyed it just the same. Excited for MYNT Gaming to see what more they can do in the future, but of course that is for the future to decide. The sacrifice is there and the victory is at hand. So with that, we will close out this evening. Thanks so much to Sir Hirsch for stepping in as our producer here on the day, and we appreciate all that they did. And of course, my name is Orbital. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next.
Bro, just use Zen Market.